Nowadays, we are, because of the pandemic, we are implementing what we call flexible learning mode, okay, or flexible learning. Flexible learning, okay, includes all online and offline modalities that include that includes remote learning. But because of the pandemic, because we believe that everything is temporary, so we are using one modality. That is what we call the remote learning mode. Dito yung sinasabi nilang online and offline pedagogy. Okay, so ang tanong, so what is remote learning? So remote learning, okay, it is an instructional design. It's an instructional modality. Please take note of that. Okay, that provides an opportunity for students and teachers to remain connected and engaged with their content while working from their homes. So because of the pandemic, most of our students study in their homes. Okay, so, and we are hoping na babalik din tayo dun sa dating situation, o what we call the new normal. New normal. Face-to-face session will be resumed again soon, and we are praying for that. So lesson, therefore, is related to technology or other instructional delivery modes. So when we say lesson is relayed through technology, again, we are using synchronous. Pag sinabing synchronous, ito yung face-to-face interaction, real-time interaction. Now we are doing what we call synchronous session. Pag sinabing asynchronous session, okay, this is the offline mode, which means, for example, okay, I can leave an assignment for you to do in the Google Meet, and then you do it on your own, or you do it with this small group. Then that is what we call asynchronous session. Or I can give you a module, okay, and then do it alone with your classmates or with individually. So that is what we call asynchronous session. So opportunities for remote learning are typically linked to emergency situations, just like what we have right now. Okay, we are in a pandemic, therefore we are doing remote learning mode, or we are in a remote learning mode. Okay, so remote learning aims to personalize learning based on the context, again, context, needs, and conditions of the students. Okay, so personalized learning. Bakit sinasabing personalized learning? Because we want to help the students, because we want to design the lesson, okay, in such a way that it reflects the context, and it reflects, responds, and it should help the students, okay, based on their context, needs, and conditions. Okay, some of our students do not have internet connection, so that's one problem. So how can we reach out to them? How can we teach and touch the lives of our students if they're not connected through internet? So we develop asynchronous session or synchronous materials. So ito yung mga modules natin, worksheets, and other instructional materials that we develop. Even textbooks, even reference books sometimes are used for a synchronous session. Okay, so in a nutshell, okay, when we talk about remote learning, there are different delivery modes that are used. Number one, for example, modular instruction. Kaya tayo gumagamit ng mga module, yan tinatawag na modular instruction. We develop the module, we personalize the module, and then give it to the students. By the way, in remote learning, when we develop the module should be, ang language niya dapat, the language of the module should be in such a way that you are talking to the students. So parang sinasabi mo, okay, turn your book or turn your module to page 8. Okay, answer the activities, and then after answering the activities, I would like you to reflect on the following questions. So, nakikiusap ka. You're putting actually yourself through the module. Hindi siya parang it is quite different from the textbook. Kasi yung textbook, ang ina-address na yung general public. Kana. So, pero yung module, you have to be personalized as if you're talking to the students. You're putting yourself into the pages of the modules. Ang modules, dalawa yan. Okay, it's either print or online. So, key printed, key online, ang tawag natin dyan ay modular instruction. So, anytime the students can go to their modules, okay, and answer the activities, hindi mo sinasabing na ngayon it's session 1 lang. Although I understand what we are doing now, karamihan sa mga divisions or regions dito sa Pilipinas, sa DepEd, ay yung module dumadating weekly or yung iba in 2 weeks. Usually sa amin, nakita ko weekly yung module. Okay. Pero, okay, ideally, modular instruction ay nandun na, nakagawa na yung module and the students can study. Okay? For example, if there are 4 lessons in 1 quarter, the students can do their lessons depending on their capacity and ability in 3 days, in 4 days, in 1 week, or 2 weeks. So, hindi natin sila ma-stop. Yun ang ano ng module. Pero sa atin ngayon, ang module natin na, sige, tapusin mo muna yung week na to. Tapusin mo na. So, well, this is not one of the features. This is not supposed to happen. Okay, but because we are in a pandemic and because we are not yet ready, okay, hindi pa tayo ready talaga sa isang course module that to give to our students. So, gano'n ang nangyari. Okay, so weekly ang delivery and we seek the help of the community. So, modular instruction, online learning. I don't want to use the term distance education. Please don't use the term distance education. Kasi pag sinabi mong distance education, it is not a modality. Okay? It is not an instructional design. It's an educational system. For example, what we have now is what we call residential education system. So, face-to-face tayo. Okay? Pero pag sinabi mong distance education, yung face-to-face, may eskwelahan, may mga teachers doon, nandun yung library, pupunta ka talaga. There's a physical office, for the principal, for the teachers, and there are classrooms for the students. So the expectation is that all of us go to school and study there. Okay, so ang distance education kasi hindi. Okay, well, yes, they have a building for administration. Okay, but everything is either online or offline. Pero ngayon, with technology, online na or a combination of both. Okay. So, ang distance education, lahat ng services ay on, okay, or they connect with local institutions. For example, that's just like what the UP Open University is doing. In fact, in the whole country, it's the UP Open University who is only recognized as a distance education provider. Okay, yung iba, ginagamit nila yung term na distance ed, but actually what we do is online learning. So what I'm doing now, kung ika-classify natin siya into modality, itong ginagawa natin, at yung ginagawa nyo sa mga bata, ay hindi distance education. Kaya lang, ginagamit kasi ng mga educators, sinasabi ng mga tao ko minsan, because there's a physical distance between the faculty and the student, so tinatawag natin na, distance education ito. But actually, it's not. It's online learning. I'm only using the internet. I'm only using the available, for example, my cell phone. Okay, so internet ito, okay, to deliver instruction. We are doing synchronous sessions through internet. So, online yon, hindi yon distance education. Okay, kasi meron pa rin namang physical classroom. Okay, so in distance education, everything is online. So, they have the OERs or online educational resources. Wala silang library na physical. Okay, they have online libraries. Okay, if they want to go to a clinic, may physical clinic ba? Wala. Okay, but they can do, for example, online consultation with the school or the medical doctor, and then the medical doctor, pag kailangan, will refer you to a hospital nearby. So everything, all the whole system is really done through online and distance learning. Okay, learning mode. So ngayon, sa atin, sa Department of Education, kahit dito ngayon sa higher education, ang ginagamit natin talaga is online learning. We don't do distance education. There is only one distance education provider. Now, may mga yung mga homeschooling. Can you consider that as distance education? Homeschooling is another form of modality, of another flexible learning option. Okay, for some authors, ang homeschooling is also another education system. So, hindi siya kasama, sabi nila, sa remote learning or flexible learning. Hindi rin siya kasama sa residential or distance education. Okay, so online learning makes use of technology, makes use of the internet to deliver instruction. And then we have individualized instruction. Individualized instruction, yung II, usually ang ginagamit niyan ay module. So there's a module that is used by the students. Okay, so the students again and again can move, okay, or can study based on their own pace. Okay, then learning through radio and TV. For example, I have a lecture nung isang araw, nung March 16, the celebration of the 500 years of Christianity, the arrival of Christianity here in the Philippines. So there are online lectures, ano? So pwede bang ilagay yun sa TV or sa radio so that the students can just watch or listen, and then from there, okay, pag may lesson tayo bukas o ngayon, for example, I will just process. So we can do that. In fact, there are also lectures on TV and video. Okay, and in radios. Similar to, nalala nyo dati yung Matinik or yung Siniskwela. Okay, these are part of what we call TV learning, okay? Or e-learning on TV. And then we have two structures of learning under remote learning. Okay, dito yung synchronous and tinatawag natin as synchronous. Again, when we say synchronous, this is the online, okay, real-time interaction between the faculty or the teacher and the students. Pag sinabing asynchronous is when I let you do your work alone. Offline to. Okay, either by group or individual. Okay, so ginagawa nyo yung lesson nyo through the modules. Okay, now, before, in a residential mode, pag sinabi kong residential, in a face-to-face mode, okay, teachers serve as a mentor. Kasi nandun nandun tayo, teaching to the students. Okay, we can easily tell them kung ano dapat nilang gawin sa kanilang mga lessons. Okay, kung may nagkamali o may tama, nako-correct natin, napupuri natin right away. Okay, but here, in what we call remote learning, we're moving away from the concept of teachers as mentors to teachers as instructional coach. Bakit instructional coach o tinatawag na instructional teaching? Kasi we are putting ourselves to the module. It's the module that is talking to the students. Okay? Although there are decisions. Okay? Yeah. Or we are putting ourselves through technology to reach out to students. So we call them, or we have video call on Facebook or on kung ano man yung ginagamit natin na media. Okay? O kung may LMS ang school, sige. Okay. So yun mga tinatawag na yun yung structure of learning tayo. Synchronous and asynchronous. And we are serving as instructional coach. It's like a basketball, my dear friends. Diba? Sa basketball, before the players will start the game, anong ginagawa ng isang coach? You gather all the players, devise the strategy, you tell them what to do, you inspire them, and then after that, you allow them to play on their own. So habang naglalaro sila, anong ginagawa ng coach? Cheering, okay, reminding them, sumisigaw, di ba? Para i-remind niya kung ano dapat yung pinag-usapan, anong ginagawa nila. And if there is a need for a recess, okay, the coach will ask for a recess, and then they will call, parang yun ang tatawagin niya ulit, re-strategize until they win the game. So after the game is finished, anong gagawin ng coach? To gather the players again, either boost their morale if they game, or the coach will help the students, okay, or to congratulate them if they won the game. So ganun yung idea ng instructional coach. As instructional coach, the teachers will provide provide their expertise or share their expertise to the students. Now, tinutulungan mo yung mga estudyante. Like for example, ang design ng lesson yan, before the start of the session, we provide an orientation. We provide a lecture. And then, okay, just like in a basketball, ito na, sige, gawin nyo mag-isa kayo o kayo gawin nyo as a small group. That is the asynchronous session. Kayo naman ang gagawa, independent learning. And then if it's needed, nakikita may mga feedback, you receive feedbacks, for example, that they have difficulties or they are eager to share the results of their activities or initial results of the activities. And then they ask for synchronous session. Okay, so nag-Google Meet ulit kayo. So yun yung tinatawag na synchronous. Ano? So magmimig ulit kayo, you practice the information, you congratulate them for doing well, or you help them if they have some difficulties, answer their questions. So yun yung ating task. We are serving now in a flexible learning mode, okay, under the remote learning modality as an instructional coach. Or we should have a high level of PPCK o yung tinatawag na technological, pedagogical, content, knowledge. O yan, TPCK. From the words itself, yung mga word, ano niya, pag sinabi mong technological knowledge, that means you know how to use technology, okay, to teach the students. Pag sinabing pedagogical knowledge, you know how to teach the course, you know how to teach the lesson, the topics. Okay, magaling ka sa strategy. Okay, pag sinabi mong content knowledge, that means you're good in your content. Okay, so pag sinabi ngayon pinagsama-sama na TPCK, it simply means that you should know how to teach, you should know what you are teaching, and you should be able to utilize technology effectively in your classroom. So you should have a high level of TPCK. Okay. Unfortunately, this is the problem in basic education, lalo na sa ating mga generalists. We are always, yan yung expectation, expected to be knowledgeable of all the courses. Okay, but of course, it's a human. It's a fact. Okay, that some of us are good in language, some of us are good in mathematics, some of us are good in science, but some of us are also poor in teaching other subjects. So tayo sa baba, K to 3, tinuturo natin lahat. Okay, tinuturo natin lahat. And we do not have the expertise of some subjects. That's a reality. And we should be humble enough to accept that fact. Okay, but we are also good or the best in teaching, for example, science, music, or what. Like, for example, in music and arts. Okay, all of us can sing. Okay, kumakanta tayo sa video, okay, or what. But not all of us can teach music, especially when we talk about music theories. Okay, so yun yung ating Waterloo. Okay, some of us have appreciations of arts or what. We can be a connoisseur. Okay, kaya lang, ang problema naman, it's not our cup of tea, okay, to teach arts to students. Hindi ganun kadali. Endangered species yan, yung art at saka music teacher. Meron naman nangyayari ko minsan sa PE. O, tingnan nyo nangyayari sa PE. Either yung faculty, pinapaglaro na lang niya ng basketball, ng volleyball, o ano-ano mga ball games dyan, ang mga bata, pero there is no lecture. The students do not realize, in fact, ito mga nangyayari ko minsan, hindi nila nare-realize that PE is actually as important as mathematics. Okay, bakit? Kasi doon sa PE nila matutunan yung collaboration, doon nila matutunan yung spirit of teamwork, yung leadership, okay, yung followership, nandun lahat matutunan sa physical education, the goal of winning and everything. So, yun ang problema natin kung minsan as instructional coach, we do not have the expertise of all the subjects. So that is why we need to collaborate. Ayan. When we develop our materials, we need to collaborate. This is the time for us to collaborate and help each other. This is not the time for us to compete with other teachers. Okay? Magbati muna kayo kung may makaaway kayo o kainisan kayo ninyo. And help. Okay? This is the time for us to help each other, develop materials that will bring out the best, okay, from our students. So, the context of learning, again, is either through remote, virtual, and residential. But this time, we only have two options, either online or virtual and remote when they stay at home. Okay, so the home and family environment helps, okay, in the development of learners to be self-regulated. Okay, kasi yun yung goal natin dapat. Habang nag-aaral yung mga bata, they become self-regulated learners in a home environment. But I understand your problems yesterday when you mentioned that there are parents actually who do not cooperate with you. There are parents who, in fact, do the answering sa mga modules. There are parents also who are happy and eager to help the teachers. Okay, so yun yung challenge sa atin. And of course, you have the community. Okay, nakikita ko, natutuwa ako kasi sa mga ibang community, sila yung mga kagawad o yung mga tanod, sila yung nag-deliver ng modules o sila yung mga kumukuha ulit ng mga natapos na modules. So we need to help each other, especially at this period of pandemic. Sabi nga nila, we heal as one. But I would like to add to that, we teach as one, we learn as one, we help each other. Okay, rise, okay, from this pandemic. So ito yung ating mode na pag-aaralan ngayong araw na to, remote learning in a self-regulated home environment. Okay, our students are staying in their home, we need to reach out to them, and we need to continue teaching them, and we need to continue learning with our students. So in remote learning, there are, okay, 4 steps that we have to do. Number 1, we need to organize competencies into lesson. Okay, again, nabigla tayo sa pandemic. We're not ready for this. Nobody is ready for this except the UP Open University kasi distance education talaga sila. But even with the UPOU, they are not prepared also for the pandemic in some other areas. So you need to organize competencies into lessons, and after that, you design the instruction, and then so may dalawang procedure na dapat ginawa natin before we develop what we call the learning package. The modules, all of the instructional materials that we need to develop or that we have developed and we are implementing now are part of what we call learning package. Okay, learning packs. Okay, so yung iba tinatawag nilang instructional packs. Okay, tawag ko naman learning packs. Okay, LPs. Okay, mas madali para sa mga bata. Okay, kaysa yung module. Kasi yung module isa lang yon. But you can give them worksheets. You can give them answer keys, okay, to correct their answers. Or you can give them, for example, videos of your lecture. So those are part of what we call learning packs or LPs. And then we establish the learning support system. Okay, so pag-aralan natin itong 4 na to. So the first thing that we have to do is to organize competencies into lessons. So last summer, dapat ang ginawa natin lahat, okay, ideally lang ito ha, pero I know ginawa naman ng DepEd Central to when they introduced the MELC. But as I mentioned yesterday, okay, we need to do something to improve the MELC. But don't worry, the MELC is just temporary. The curriculum is still the K-12 curriculum. Kasi remote learning tayo, ang idea is that we will go back again. Okay? We will go back into what we call the new normal, or we will hindi na go back yon. We will arrive into what we call a new normal scenario or situation. So, ang idea is babalik tayo doon sa dating curriculum. Babalik din tayo into a residential mode. Kaya remote learning tayo. So, the K-12 is still our official curriculum. The MELC is just a curriculum that we use to help our students or to limit the topics because it's a pandemic. So, ang idea nito is to organize lessons into competencies. Ito yung dalawa na uri ng pedagogical o curriculum design ngayon. Dati, we have what we call knowledge-based teaching or concept-based or topic-based learning. And then right now, we are in what we call competency-based teaching and learning, outcomes-based education. Okay, we focus on the different learning outcomes. Yun ang focus ng lesson. Or we are now in what we call standards-based teaching and learning. Okay, when the K-12 was introduced, the competencies, the former PELC or PLCs, okay, were reorganized into what we call a standards-based curriculum. Now, dati, ang emphasis ay knowledge-based yung ating curriculum. So therefore, pag nagturo, the textbooks, the topics, okay, the textbooks are filled with topics and contents that the students should learn. Okay, now, in what we call competency-based teaching and learning, we focus on the application of knowledge and skills. We focus on the competencies from the curriculum. Okay, so, nahihirapan tayo kasi we do not know, in fact, tinuro ko sa Region 4A, yung paano gumawa ng curriculum map. Dapat pala may session tayo noon. Kasi yun ang tutulong sa inyo sa pag-identify ng inyong mga strategies and everything. Mag-curriculum map. Okay. In curriculum mapping, you focus on the competency. Because unfortunately, for example, sa language, well, yes, it's a skill subject. And therefore, everything, although the verbs may fall, kung gamitin mo yung Bloom's taxonomy into comprehension or understanding, okay, they will remain as skills. Kasi skill subject ang language, except when you teach literature. Literature is the more on content yung literature. Okay. Pero kapag natuturo ka ng language, so with mathematics, okay, usually, competency ang pinag-uusapan. Usually, skill ang pinag-uusapan. You learn to count, you learn to do mathematical operations. Okay, you learn to perform problem solving. You need to perform or solve mathematical solutions. So, yung mga yon, okay? You learn how to organize your thoughts clearly in a paragraph. You learn how to speak properly. Okay, you know how to organize your thoughts or your ideas in a concrete, coherent manner. So, yun yung mga tinatawag natin na competency. Okay, yun yung tinatawag natin na skill. So, your subject, okay, sa basic education, whether that is language, MTB, MLE, or what, is what we call competency-based courses or subjects kasi tools sila. But there is something with something wrong with the teaching of MTB, MLE that I observe in this country. I hope it's not a problem in Calamba kasi although I know it's a challenge because your mother tongue is also Tagalog. Okay? So, nakikita ko minsan, it's just, nakikita ko sa mga ibang modules ng DepEd, nag-introduce yung teacher ng new terms, new words. Okay. Na actually, kung tinyo, anong pag-aaralan nun? Is it a language course na you learn new terms, new ideas, or what? Or you use MTB, MLE for everyday life. Okay. May mga new terms, may mga Tagalog. Halimbawa, kayo dito sa Los Baños, hindi ko alam na yung pag-awas ay pag-uwi. Okay. So, narinig ko yan sa isang estudyante ko na, kasi po, pag-awas ko ng hapon, usually, pumupunta pa ako sa trabaho ko. Sabi ko, anong pag-awas, pagbawas, hindi ko maintindihan. So, because I'm an Ilocano. Okay. Oh, matagal na ako sa Manila. I spent more than 10 years na sa Metro Manila. But I haven't heard of that word. Okay. So, kung minsan ang ginagawa ng mga teachers, naglalagay ng mga vocabulary. Yes, importante yun. But friends, I hope that the teaching of MTB, MLE should also evolve. Kasi ang purpose ng learning of local language, universal purpose, is to the students to know themselves better as part of that culture. Okay? Of a particular culture, a part of a particular community. You know, language is a powerful tool. And language reflect identity, the wisdom of the people. Sometimes, ang pag-aralan dapat yan, simply lang, for example, bakit Kalamba? Tinawag na Kalamba ang Kalamba. Okay, ang bayan ng Kalamba. You can start, for example, at bakit tinawag na ganito San Isidro yung bayan ninyo? Bakit tinawag na, for example, sa amin, dito sa Los Baños, bakit tinatawag, for example, na Batong Malaki? Okay, may Batong Malaki ba talaga sa may UPLB or what? Bakit tinawag na ganito? Now you're integrating it into the history of the local place. Now you're looking into what we call a sense of place, a sense of being. Okay, yung tinatawag na sense of place is coming from comes from the discourse of an indigenous knowledge where the students will appreciate who they are. That the students will appreciate that they are part of a culture that started a long time ago. So, an indigenous culture that evolved into a modern culture now. Okay, so nakikita niya, na-appreciate niya. Okay, I came to observe some MTB MLE lessons in the University of Hawaii, Manua. Ang tinitingnan nila talaga is making use of the local language as a tool to study culture, to study history, the local roots. Kasi wala naman yan sa social studies, sa social studies curriculum nila, national na yon. So, yung MTB, MLE, okay, they use language. So, like ba, Hawaii. It means, tawag dito, yung fire and then the wind. Okay, so sinasabi nila, that's the origin of Hawaii. It started actually as a result of a volcanic eruption from the ocean, etc., etc. So, na-form. So, marami silang mga pinag-uusapan ng mga ganon. So, sana mag-revolve din. Now, you look at the competencies. You look again at your subject, your language subject course, whether that is Filipino, MTB, MLE, or English, and then mathematics as a tool subject. Again, tool subjects to learn other disciplines. You see, yung purpose ng MTB-MLE na yun na sinasabi ko sa inyo ay to study the local colors. When I say local color, I'm talking about the local culture, local traditions, indigenous knowledge, local history that will link and that will help them understand and appreciate social studies. That will help them appreciate science because they were going to talk about indigenous science, the local practices. And then mathematics, they will see that mathematics is not something new to them. But some mathematics is part of our culture. Math is not introduced by the West. Math has always been there, okay, since the beginning of life. When God created the world and everything that is in it, there is already mathematics. Okay, although of course, ang sabi ng ibang mga experts, sabi nga, hindi, nauna ang geography. Okay, when God created the world, physical space muna ang tinignan niya. Oh, well, of course, mako-question dyan ng physics. Kasi ang sabi daw ng Diyos, there should be light. Okay. And, well, kahit ano pa, okay, God uses language to create, okay, the people and the whole world. So language could be the first one. Okay. But sabi naman nila, pero nag-isip ang Diyos kung ilan at kung anong forma and everything. So mathematics. So whichever did come first. Okay. Ang importante nito ay we are sure that our courses are tool courses and therefore when we develop materials, when we teach them as a tool courses for the students. Okay? Nangyayari kasi kung minsan nakaano na tayo sa vocabulary. Sa language, na-focus na tayo sa structure of the language. But friends, language should be something that is used by the students. It's useless, okay, to teach a language if the students cannot apply that in everyday life. Okay? So, kasi naman pag nakikipag-usap naman yung tricycle drivers ng foreigner, don't expect that naman na it's a perfect grammar. Okay? Pero ang importante dito, again and again, because you are teaching in K-3, ang importante dito is you develop the confidence and you develop the understanding of and appreciation of the students of mathematics and language as a tool courses. Malaking bagay na yon. Again, so ang focus natin when we develop materials, when we teach, is for the students to apply knowledge and skills. So performance task ang focus natin. Ngayon, na K-12 yung ating curriculum. So lahat ng ating nandun sa ating mga modules should be related to performance tasks. Less words, but more on activities for the students to do. Okay? So, bakit bumalik? Okay, so now, decide tayo na instruction na ngayon, ng mga material, from the needs and demands of the learners. Okay, we will analyze those things. We will see how we can respond to the demands of the learners and how we can teach perfectly the competencies. And then we design instruction. We develop materials. Okay, yesterday I did to you one instructional design. Look, identify, describe. Tatlo lang, So that could be one or you can have more. Okay, so when we design instruction, ito nang ginatawa, ito ang natapan natin dito ay how can we put, okay, the learning environment, how can we integrate the learning environment in our materials? Okay, again, the challenge here is that imagine the homes of our students, the environment, saan sila nakatira. Okay, and try to integrate local color or local into the modules so that the students will feel, okay, great or will feel the confidence. Nakikita nila, okay, na, uy, nakarelate nila sa lesson. Uy, nakikita nila. Kasi you're not there to explain. Kahit nag-home visit pa tayo, wala tayo doon na nag-explain sa mga estudyante natin. So we better make the module, okay, whether this is online or offline material, to be relevant and responsive to the needs of our students. Okay, and again, keep it concrete and short para sa estudyante natin. Okay, so now, mag-develop na tayo ng the second part. The third part is to develop the learning package. Ito na yung mga learning materials. Okay, friends, ang problema nyo kahapon ay dapat ma-involve yung parents. Okay, this is my suggestion. I tried to reflect on it yesterday. One, I think we need to develop, extra work. Hindi, 2 page lang ito. A remote learning guide for parents. Okay? Yung remote learning guide na to, okay, nakalagay doon yung schedule of courses, nakalagay, gumawa kayo ng syllabus with the schedule. Para at least alam ng parent na, ops, Greg, may lesson ka ngayon, gawin mo yung module mo. Ops, Greg, ito yung cellphone, mag-online ka. Okay? Kasi mayroon kayong synchronous session ngayon. So alam ng parent, kahit nagtatrabaho, bago siya aalis, he or she can remind, okay, yung mother or your father can remind the child, okay, na anak, meron kang lesson ngayon, wag mo kalimutan. Anak, may module ka ngayon, wag mo kalimutan. Anak, may synchronous session ka, magle-lecture si teacher. So, and then, natatalos. Kasi yung mga parents, sabi nga, ano ba yan? Module na lang ng module, wala namang ginagawa, blah, 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 blah. Kami ang nahihirapan. So, there's a guide. Okay, doon nakalagay kung ano lang, be personalized guide. So, dear parents, your duty, you are our partner in this remote learning mode or in these learning sessions for our students. We would like to solicit your help in the following. One, for example, please remind your students about the following schedules. Please help them, blah, blah. So, nakalagay doon. And then, there's a syllabus nakalagay. Ano yung lesson, ano yung schedule, yung lesson or topic, okay, ano yung expected activity, ano expected output, kaya yung deadline. Okay, so parang gumagawa ka ng syllabus to give that to parents. That will also help the students. In fact, ngayon nga, dapat nauna bago module ay syllabus that we provide to students. Nakita ko to sa UPIS, no, na it helps a lot. And I observe people also from Korea and from Taiwan doing this to the early learners. Nagsisilabus din palang bata, kahit pala kindergarten, kahit grade 1. Pero sa kindergarten, it's more on a pictorial guide sa mga bata kung anong expectation nila. Tapos small sentences lang yung nakalagay doon sa mga instructions. Okay. Pero the students can check kung ano yung accomplish niya, kung anong gagawin niya. Okay, we can do that also for our students. Pero anyway, that is something that you can do to your parents, yung remote learning guide. For the learners, you can have modules and textbooks, either like na natin ang characteristics mamaya. Okay, worksheets or activity sheets. Ito siguro yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na supplement yesterday. If the students have difficulties, okay, answering the modules, then we can provide worksheets, activity sheets, kahit isa lang in a week, okay, that will help them understand the lesson better. They do that in Japan. They do that in Korea. They do that in Canada. They do that also. I observed some children doing that. Okay, in Indonesia, medyo teacher-centered sila doon. Mas ano tayo dito. Pero in Thailand, in the laboratory school of ano yung kanilang national university, Chulalongkorn University. I looked at their schools. I visited some of their laboratory schools, yung mga touch schools nila. They introduce worksheets and activity sheets. I think that is in the influence of some Japanese government scholars from Thailand. Okay, yung technology-based learning materials, when we use the computer, tablet, or iPad, I don't know if the local government in Calamba also provided tablet or computer to your students. Yung ibang locality, nagbigay. Sa Pasig, meron. Okay? So, and anyway, naging issue kasi nag-iingitan ng mga tao. Pero, I don't know. I hope they are using it really for learning. And then the assessment tools. So, ito yung usually na nakalagay sa tinatawag na learning package. Please add the syllabus. May syllabus dapat tayo every quarter. Kung gusto nyo kasi sa Pilipinas naman, di naman natin alam kung kailan uulan, kung kailan, kung may problema o wala sa araw-araw. So, it could be per quarter yung syllabus. Okay? Kasi yung syllabus ang magdedetermina kung ito lang natapos ng bata ngayon, ito lang ibibigay ko. Okay? Or ito na yung susunod. Okay? Ito yung kaya tinawag siya na learning package kasi it includes other learning materials, modules or textbook, worksheets and activity sheets, okay, the technology-based material, yung mga videos ng lesson ninyo, either recorded, pre-recorded or not, okay, and then the assessment tools. Ito yung mga project rubrics or what. Itong assessment tool na to, okay, kung performance task, please give a copy of the rubrics to your students. Meron silang kopya tapat para makita rin nila, malaman nila how they should perform. Okay? Their post sa Facebook, sumasayaw sila, yung mga bata, kasama kanilang daddy o mommy, kasi requirement daw yun sa PE. May mga ganun ako nakikita sa Facebook. Okay, idea ko naman, sige, sayaw sila, o na costume, etc. But it's more than just the sayaw. Okay, you give up the rubrics, and then there should be a lesson prior to that, and there should be a processing after the video. Kasi sinabit na, pinost na sa Facebook kasi requirement daw. And I know there's a certain district in Cavite na requirement daw doon kasi classmate ko yung tatay niya. So pinost sa Facebook. Sabi ko, bakit yung pinost sa Facebook? Hindi ka magandang sumayaw. Sabi ko, kailangan, yun ang requirement, etc. Requirement daw ng teacher. Grade school yung kanyang anak. So sabi ko, so after that, what will happen? Hindi, part ng project. Kasi kailangan daw i-practice, i-demonstrate na marunong kang sumayaw ng ganito. Pero PE is more than that because PE is a language. Pero anyway, sige. Ang lesson dito, everything should be purposive. Don't just ask your student to do something because you thought that or you think that this is creative. Actually, hindi kung minsan. Okay, depende sa activity. You should know how to practice the activity. And the students should be made aware of the purposes and the competencies, okay, that they can learn out of that activity. Okay. Bakit? Okay, here. So when you develop instructional materials, when you select instructional media, and as we teach the learners, we apply pedagogy, okay, for remote learning. We are guided by, again, the curriculum. Again, the milk is not perfect. Okay? The milk is not perfect. It's not a perfect document. There is a need to improve it. And you are in the position to improve it. Don't be afraid to do it. Kasi the curriculum is still naman the K-12. Hindi natin binabago yung K-12. The milk is just also a temporary guide for students. Because it's temporary, then you can basically organize or reorganize the milk to address the needs of our students. Okay, so the curriculum, okay, especially yung kindergarten, tingnan nyo yung milk sa kindergarten kasi pinagsama-samang kalamay yun. Hindi ko maintindihan kung anong ginawa. Okay, so mas okay yung grades 1, 2, and 3, pero yung kindergarten, sorry, hindi ko ma-appreciate yung milk ng kindergarten kasi talagang pinagsama-sama ng kalamay. Sana hindi publish yun abroad, nakakahiya. Pinas. Okay, so because you're a kindergarten teachers, a lot of you kindergartners, I expect to do something better. Dapat kayo sa K-12, tingnan nyo kung ano yung mga dapat na nandun. O kayo na ang mag-organize, kayo na mag-ayos sa milk. Okay, we are guided by our philosophy, the philosophy of our education system. Anong philosophy natin? Holistic development, learner-centered education that will develop that will provide holistic development of our learners and make them functionally literate. Okay, again, we serve as instructional coach. Okay, as we develop the instructional materials, select the media, and teach the learners. But we are also influenced by our philosophy and our context. And of course, your philosophy as teachers. Importante yon. Okay, kahapon, meron nga iba sa inyo, sorry, papasa na ba kahit ganito lang yung natapos? The answer is, di ba, sabi natin, sometimes, it is better, tandaan nyo to, sometimes it is better to break a rule, okay, than to break a person. Okay? So, there are moments in this life, mga kapakuro, when it is better to break a rule than to break a person. Ang idea natin dito ay, we help the students. If we think that the lessons are not helping the students, then we can modify to help the students. This is the time for us to teach and touch the lives of our students, as I mentioned yesterday. So we are guided by our own philosophy. Marami sa inyo nanay. So you knew, okay, the context ng bata kapag nag-aaral sila sa mga lower grades. More on laro ang mga yan. Gusto nilang maglaro as much as possible. So make learning fun. Okay, for our students. And then yung concern natin, yung iba nakita ko kahapon, ang dami yung mga sinishare na maganda, how I wish those things could be documented. And then, yung ma-experience nyo sa remote learning, document ninyo and publish that. Ang ganda, ang ganda. Yung mga how you reach out to your students, how you respond to their socio-emotional needs. Kasi we're not ready for that. Ang ready lang tayo nga ng konti sa module. Sige, bibigay natin. Pero when we reach the homes of our students, may mga nakikita tayong problema. Sometimes problema na yun sa bahay. Pero affected tayo. So, affected din yung materials na gagawin natin. So, teachers are doing multiple roles ngayong panahon ng remote learning. Okay. Bakit bumabalik? Okay. Oh, ito na ngayon. So, talking about instructional design, when we develop materials, whether this is online or offline, if you believe in a constructivist perspective, okay, a constructivism in a nutshell is a theory of teaching and learning that believes, okay, that the learners construct knowledge based on their previous experiences and based on their previous experiences and ano pa ba isa? Prerequisite previous experience based on their previous experiences and based on their activities. Okay. So, constructivism, tinitingnan niya ang learner as an active learner, as an active processor of knowledge. Activities, authentic experiences, concrete learning experiences are very important. Okay? Yung belief system ng bata, okay? Yung home environment ng bata are important to consider in a constructivist learning. Okay? Active learning ang pinag-uusapan natin dito. Okay? So, for instructional module, whether this is online or offline, should, number one, includes activities that promote active learning. Active learning yon. So, mayroong individual, mayroong group activity. Okay. Consider the background knowledge and prior experiences of the learners. Ito yun, ang essence ng constructivism. Yung background knowledge and previous experiences. Kung kindergarten yan, ano ang background knowledge niya? Saan manggagaling? Sa bahay, sa community. Kung grade 1 yan, saan manggagaling yung background knowledge niya at prior experience niya sa kinder? So, ganun din sa grade 2, grade 3, pababa. But of course, part of that background knowledge and part of that prior experiences, yung home environment niya. So you have to consider that. Again, authentic learning should help. Okay, and make sure that when you introduce new information, you have to link that. So integration is important when you develop instructional materials. Integration to real life. In fact, it is better to integrate the lesson to real life or connect it to real life activity than to connect it with the other subjects at this moment. Okay. Again, my tool subjects. Kaya pwede nyo i-connect kung saan-saan, kung anong parte ng discipline o parte ng society ang inyong mga subjects. Okay, and you should have pre-assessment activity. Okay, so meron yan. Dapat sa mga online and offline activity nyo. Ang pre-assessment activity, anong gagawin natin, saan natin gagamitin na to? Kaya lang kasi, yung module kasi natin ibinibigay na. So hindi naman tayo nagpe-pre-assessment muna bago tayo gumawa ng module. Gawa na yung module. But pre-assessment activity helps the teacher, okay, in knowing, okay, or getting a full idea of the background knowledge and prior experiences of the learners. Malalaman nila dito kung anong level na nila, level ng understanding, level ng competency nila. So there should be a pre-assessment activity. So check kung meron kayo habang nagsasalita ako, as we discuss all of these things, try to imagine or try to get your module and examine, i-browse yung module nyo or yung online lessons niyo if you have this. Next, utilize activities that are mentally engaging and interesting. So that means differentiated instruction should be applied. So which means there are activities that will require creative thinking and critical thinking. Questions should be interesting. Topics should be presented in a different way. Okay, instead of just introducing a concept, you may want to ask a question so that the students can think and reflect based on the question. Instead of right away focusing on a formula, for example, doon sa module nyo, whether this is online or offline, maybe you can include, you can start, okay, with concrete activities, parang Singapore math. Yung CPA nila, concrete, pictorial, abstraction. So they start with concrete activity. Very constructivist kasi yung CPA ng Singapore. Okay, even in Japan, they do that also. Okay, concrete activity muna. So because that will help the students see math, see language in a real life environment. Okay, so next. Bakit nagkaganyan? Okay, so provides feedback for activities for practice and feedback. Ito yung online, synchronous ito. Kasi after the students answered their modules or have done their module 1, for example, or module 2, then there should be synchronous session. Ito yung online. So now, I'm asking you, so what about this lesson? Nakita ko ng lesson mo, some of the students, hindi nila nakuha yung ibang formula, yung iba hindi nila nakuha yung ibang grammar rules, o yung ibang examples, mali. So I can now process. This is the time for us to process information, process what we learn. And the student, the faculty, I mean, should be ready to provide feedback to the students. Hindi ba yung feedback sa criticism? Okay, we evaluate the learning of our students. We evaluate the output of the students constructively. Ito maganda sa constructivism. Kasi kapag well, we don't do that in mathematics and in language kasi very what to call this, concrete and talagang logical tayo. Pag sinabi mong 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 talaga. Pag anong mathematical operation na gamitin, ito talaga. Etc. Pero in other subject like science, for example, in social studies, kasi there's nothing such as wrong answer. Kapag constructivism, we ask the students during this practice and feedback session to provide a rationale. Bakit mo sinabi yan? Bakit yan ang observation mo? Why are you going outside the definition, for example, provided the module? So you can ask your students. Pero sa mathematics kasi, at saka sa language, we cannot do that. Pero we can extend that. We can apply, okay, the formula into a different context or we can provide or teach them with a different method, okay, a more creative method to get the answer. Okay, sa language, ganun din naman. We can provide authentic learning where the students can apply. Okay, so yung ginagawa usually sa practice and feedback. And then we use questions that are thought-provoking. Okay, sabi nila ako minsan we should avoid the WH question. Ako naman, sasabihin ko sa inyo, no. You have to start with the WH question. It's logical in math and in language. Kasi yun yung data eh. Okay? You cannot analyze if you do not know, okay, the big picture. So kunin mo muna who, what, where, when. Okay? Before you can answer the question how, why, what if, how if, or some other questions na. Okay? So it is important that in the module, whether this is online or offline, you should know how to ask the right question. Siguro isang training suggest sa mga teachers, forget about strategy. Ang ano lang dito magandang pag-focusan is how to ask the questions, yung questioning techniques. Okay. Kasi yun ang magtutulong sa atin pag develop na ng material at kapag nag-online lang kasi dyan, after na kumustahan, then you start to teach the lesson. Hindi ka magle-lecture na ganito. You can now start asking the question, okay? From easy to difficult question. Okay. Provide examples, explanations, and illustrations. You see, so illustrations are important. I mean, examples, explanations are important in constructivism. But again, whether this is online or offline, because you're using a module, make it concrete, less palabok. Okay? Wala siyang palabok. Okay? Concrete, yung sasabihin mo doon, kapag sinabi mong definition of what a pronoun is, here is the definition, here is the example, and then let them do, or here is the practice activity. Ganun lang yon for constructivism. For mathematics, this is the formula, this is the example, this is the practice activity, and then the feedback. Feedback will be applied during the synchronous session. Okay? Or the offline. Now, susunod naman, ito yung mami ng constructivism. Tawag namin dyan, mami ng constructivism. Kasi ang constructivism galing actually sa behaviorism at saka cognitivism. Okay, sa behaviorism naman, module should have the following principle also the following features. One, again, so there's a pre-assessment. So pre-assessment, ito yung namana ng constructivism sa behaviorist. Okay, for each activity, or for each lesson, I mean. So there should be a pre-assessment. Actually, tayo sa Pilipinas, kung titingnan natin yung ating mga lesson format, okay, kahit sinasabi natin na constructivist tayo, actually hindi. More on ano pa rin. Wait. Okay, ayan. Nawala ba yung aking ano? Okay lang. Hello? Nawala? Nakikita niyo pa rin?
Kita po, sir.
Sorry kasi may nag-pop up ka na. Okay, so tingnan niyo yung ating mga lesson plans. Actually, hindi tayo pa rin constructivist. Nandun pa rin tayo sa behaviorist. Ang behaviorist kasi, in a nutshell, sinasabi niya that there are certain behaviors that the students should learn, should be able to demonstrate. And therefore, we have to model that behavior. And to assess whether that behavior is mastered or are mastered by the students, dapat yan, mayroong demonstration of learning. Diyan nag-umpisa yung mga behaviorist objectives, mga Bloom's taxonomy and everything. So ito ngayon. So may pre-assessment and then motivation. Yung motivation nanggaling din sa behaviorist. Take note that motivation activities, whether this is residential, face-to-face, online or offline, should be done maximum of 2 minutes. Okay, maximum of 2 minutes lang yan. Okay, yung iba ang ginagawa nila, okay, nagpa-process agad. Like for example, when you ask a question, ito kung minsan ginagawa ng mga grade 1 teacher. Halimbawa, may magandang tanawin. Sino sa inyo nakapunta na sa Baguio? Oh, siyempre, tataas ang kamay lahat ng bata. Tapos tatanungin ng teacher, sa anong nakinawa nyo, nakita nyo sa Baguio? Oh, hindi na siya motivation. Actually, motivation is just there as a strategy to hook the interest of the students. So, maximum of 2 kayong mga sa question, thought-provoking question that will hook the interest of the student. It could be a picture, okay, that will catch their attention. Or it could be something, okay. It could be an announcement that will make the students feel excited. Okay, maximum of 2 minutes. Okay, so sa module ko minsan yung motivation, okay, color the following or connect the. Hindi na siya motivation, lesson na yon. Okay, hindi na siya motivation, lesson na yon. So don't process the motivation. It is just there. Okay, to hook the needs, the interest of the students. Okay, provision for a criterion reference assessment. That means there should be performance-based assessment or activities in the module, whether this is online or offline module. Activity sequence for mastery. So from simple to complex. So dapat yon, nakikita natin yon, concrete to abstract. So nakikita nyo sa modules. So you can check your modules, titingnan niyo yung activity. From simple to complex ba siya? O halos pare-parehas yung level. Nag-iiba lang yung example. Yung activity A, activity B, activity C, parehas lang na nagsosolve sila ng 2-digit or 3-digit numbers or yung area of a perimeter or what. Pero iba-iba lang yung sample. So kung gano'n, hindi siya talaga tama. Dapat yan umaakyat, tumataas yung level. Kasi what you're doing, developing is the mastery and understanding of the students or helping the students develop deeper meaning. Okay, informative feedbacks to reinforce learning. Okay, paano itong informative feedbacks? Usually, doon sa dulo, after each activity, may statement ang bawat module, whether this is online or what, or offline, na additional information. Additional feedback. Pero huwag mahaba. Tingnan nyo yung mga American workbooks or textbooks. Sa Japan, 20 plus lang o 30 plus lang yung pages ng ano. Merong box sa baba. Actually, it's a note to students. Okay, an additional information. Or, it could be, okay, pag ano dyan, pwede kayong maglagay ng blank na rectangle or space there where the teacher can write. Kasi sana nga ibabalik yung module din sa estudyante so that they will also know kung ano ang tama at mali sa kanilang ginagawa. Okay, you can also do the format, the feedbacking session again during the synchronous session, during an online synchronous session. Para doon kayo mag-ano, or during your visitation. Visitation can be considered as synchronous session kasi face-to-face yun. Okay, so yan ang behaviorist. Okay, pag cognitivist naman, the oldest, ito yung tatay, the constructivism. Ang emphasis niya ay, again, active involvement of the learner in the learning process. So, ito yung namana naman ni constructivism. Next, the use of hierarchical analysis to identify and illustrate prerequisites and relationships. So that's why we have review. Pero don't overuse the term review. Sometimes, simple recall is different from review. Kasi pag review kasi, ibig sabihin, hindi maganda yung turo mo kahapon. In a nutshell, yun yun. So, ulitin mo. Okay, ay, naintindihan ko naman yung ginagawa ng mga teachers ngayon na yung review is somehow to connect the students with their previous lesson. Establishing a connection to previous lesson in this different from a review. Kasi ang review kasi is tantamount to reteaching the class, okay, or the topic. Okay, so pag hierarchical analysis, there are different, ito yung tinatawag natin na scaffolding. Meron tayong mga different strategies na ginagawa to help the student, okay, understand the new lesson. Okay, to help the students, okay, get a better grasp of the skills that they need to apply. Okay, emphasis on structuring, organizing, and sequencing. Tingnan niyo yung activities natin, ano, dapat mayroong outline, okay, sa module. Kaya pala ito, nakikita niyo sa mga American books, kuminsan o kahit sa ibang mga modules natin, naka-bold, naka-underline, okay? Kasi we are putting emphasis doon sa mga definition. We are putting emphasis doon sa important concepts. Kuminsan, naka-italics, okay? So that is a cognitive strategy, ano? Okay, nag-outlining, okay? So kuminsan, instead of making the definitions in a paragraph form, hindi. Halimbawa, nilalagay natin yung definition, nilalagay natin yung mga steps in solving a formula, nina-number natin, nina-outline natin. So that is a cognitive strategy. We provide summary, okay? Summary for every topic. So that is also a cognitive strategy. So we provide a summary. The students can also provide their own summary, their own understanding. Synthesizers. Okay, synthesizers. Nilalagay din natin yan every end of the chapter or every end of the unit. Yung summary, every lesson. Yung synthesizers, yun at the end of the unit rather than the chapter. So usually, ginagawa ito as a synthesis of all the things that the students learn in 1 quarter or in a month. Depende yan. And then advanced organizers. Okay, there are more than 500 now advanced organizers. We do that to illustrate concepts and to develop better understanding of the relation of different concepts. Okay, yung mga features, characterizations, everything, the different similarities. So marami tayong pwedeng paggamitan ng advanced organizers. Examples and non-examples, okay, contradictions, relationships. Okay, lahat-lahat yon. Or it could be meanings, it could be lahat-lahat. So maraming nagagamit na advanced organizers. So tingnan niyo kung may mga graphic organizers or advanced organizers diyan sa inyong mga modules. Okay, allow and encourage students to make connections with previously learned material. So ayan, yun ang sinasabi ko na recall of prerequisites and use of relevant examples and analogies. So these are cognitive-based activities. Sometimes we do that. Itong recall of prerequisites, sometimes we do that in a form of question that the students can answer, that the students can discuss with other students or with their classmates. Okay? Or analogies, examples and non-examples. Okay? Minsan nalilito lang yung estudyante dyan sa examples and non-examples. Pero you have to make ang key naman doon is that you have to make the instruction clear to the students. Okay, so the instructional mode now, ito yun na yung mga features, ano, yun yung mga pedagogical strategies, pedagogical principles that we should apply when we develop online and offline materials. Now, we have to remember that, okay, in designing instruction for remote learning, okay, there are, of course, you have the teacher, the students are living in different places. So we are connected by technology. Okay, we use technology to learn all the lessons that are included or prescribed by the Department of Education. Okay, the module is also a technology. Okay, so ang ginagamit natin, either high-tech or low-tech. Okay, pag sinasabi natin na low-tech, like low technology, kasi hindi siya sophisticated, but still, it's helpful to students. Ang sa akin naman, kung anong mas kailangan, mas importante. But I would like to imagine, though hindi madaling sabihin, pero hindi madaling gawin, I'd like to imagine na parang this time, ang implementation ng pandemic is just, para siyang mall. Okay? You have different options. Ang siyang estudyante, meron siyang option to go into offline or online, or a combination of offline or online, synchronous and asynchronous, through the use of technology pag kaya nila. Although, of course, limited yung time natin at limited din yung ating capacity to develop all the materials that we need. Simply because we are not in a distance education mode. We are in a remote learning. We are still in a residential mode. Okay. So ito yun, ano? So we are connected by technology. So actually, we are bringing ourselves, okay? We are putting ourselves, connecting ourselves to the students using technology. We are putting all the modules in an online mode, or sometimes it is printed, yung mga hindi talaga kaya. And we reach out to our students. And the idea there is to help develop a happy home. Sana hindi maging burden yung lesson sa parents. Sana hindi maging burden yung lesson sa mga bata. I understand yung may experiences nyo kahapon. You have to remind the parents that we are also adjusting. In fact, ito nga nakakatawa at nakakaawa sa ating part ng mga guro. Kinukumusta natin ang ating mga estudyante. Pero meron na bang parent na o estudyante na kumumusta rin sa atin? Sana meron din. Ano? Kumusta rin kaya tayo? Okay, tinitingnan natin yung socio-emotional needs ng mga bata. Sino naman kaya tumitingin sa ating socio-emotional needs? Tinitingnan nyo yung mga anak ng iba. Pero yung anak ninyo, sino naman kaya ang tumitingin? Di ba, nadi-divide din yung attention. So ito rin. Actually, marami ding mga teachers ngayon, denial lang. Pero nakaka-experience din ng mga mental health problems. Okay, may mga na-depressed, may mga... Kasi this is really a different situation. Lalo na hindi tayo masyadong nakakalabas o napaparanoid napaparaning tayo pag lumalabas tayo. We have to look at the mental health of the students and also our own mental health. Okay? So, ang idea dito is that we are doing remote learning. We are doing all the modules online. We are doing all the home visitation. Okay? Risking our own health. Okay? To reach out to students. Pero, dapat yun ang idea ay, well, ayokong i-adapt si Senator Enrile, pero gusto ko yung sabi niya, gusto ko happy ka. Pero sana ganun din tayo. Ano? Sana lahat tayo happy. Happy with the students, happy for the students, and happy developing the modules. Okay, after all, the C in Kalamba, as I mentioned yesterday, is for creativity, commitment, and collaboration. Okay, care, Kalamba cares. Okay. So the sample teaching and learning activities. For asynchronous, yung offline, okay, it could be a forum or a message board. Although ito, ginagamit ito sa mga higher grades. Okay. Pero we can do naman online discussions via LMS. Pwede itong Google Meet. Pwede itong mag-online sa mga estudyante. Yung mga iba naman, dahil mas sila sa Facebook, okay, mas konti daw yung bandwidth na kailangan pag nagpe-Facebook sila. I do not know. I'm not a techie person. Okay, pero kung yun ang way to reach out to students, parang Facebook call or what, okay lang, why not? Okay, then we do discussion and processing there. Okay, it could be email correspondence or through the module. Ito yung module na ibinibigay natin sa kanila, dinideliver sa mga bata. Yung synchronous naman, okay, by the way, yung online discussion ito, yung estudyante ang gagawa nito, hindi tayo. Okay, sila. Okay, kung kaya nila mag-Facebook call, mag-classmate nila, why not? Okay. Itong pag may activity, kailangan lang may activity na papagawa kayo sa kanila. Activity naman na hindi naman masyadong, lalo na we are teaching young children. Pero I'm sure natutuwa sila pag si mami, si daddy, ayan, yan yung classmate mo anak, pag kinder. Mag-uusap sila, natutuwa yun. Simpleng, hello, gawa mo na assignment mo. Okay, ito yung ginawa ko. Sa kumustahan, na magandang bagay na yon para sa kindergarten. For grades 1, 2, and 3, pwede na yan. Simple assignment like Kumustahan lang. Kung ginawa mo na assignment mo sa math, etc. Ito, paano yung ginawa mo sa ano? Let them express their ideas, their questions freely. Hayaan nyo dyan. Okay, para mag-enjoy naman sila sa kanilang activity. Okay, synchronous session naman, ito yung less flexible. Kasi ayan, webinar, ayan. Zoom, Google Meet, i-meet nyo yung mga estudyante nyo. So, you will process and make sure you are ready. Huwag kayong mag-lecture ha pag webinar. Webinar type. Ito, nag-lecture ako. This is okay. Kasi magle-lecture naman talaga tayo. This is a webinar session. Okay, pero sa mga bata, huwag kayong mag-lecture. Okay? You do the processing para masaya yung lesson. Okay? Kapag nasa distance end, yes, it's okay to do a lecture. But you remember, we're talking here about preschool kindergarten children. We're talking here about grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. So as much as possible, don't do a lecture. Kasi nakikita nyo, pag nagle-lecture kayo, yung mga bata, yung mga iba yung ginagawa. Pero focus group discussion, oral discussion, okay, you can assign 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or each group should have a question. So, to call their attention, okay lang yon. Virtual classes, yon yung tinatawag ko na virtual classes or online meetings and consultations. If you have many students, you can divide them into 5 or into 3 or what, depende, or small groups, okay, so that your online consultations or online meeting could be more personalized. And yung iba, gumagawa ng chat. I don't know if chat is already appropriate for grades 1, 2, and 3. Pero may nakikita ako ng mga bata nagpe-Facebook. Ayoko lang kasi na ma-addict sila sa Facebook. Baka mamaya iba na yung mga ginagawa nila doon or what. It's better to do a virtual classes. No, I don't like yung ginagawa ng mga ibang preschool teacher ngayon, kindergarten teacher ngayon. Sumasayaw, nagkakanta, nagaganyan, nanonood yung bata. Sometimes hindi ko alam kung nag-i-entertain yung teacher o nagtuturo talaga. Well, you can do that. You can still sing, you can still dance. Pwede naman ng group, ikita mo. But again, do it as a form of a virtual class. Okay? Virtual classes. Hindi yung, manunood yung bata. Manunood, nag-aaral o na-entertain. Okay, so we have to be more purposeful sa mga activities na nilagay natin. Okay, so ano mga sample teaching and learning technologies pag technology? Okay, some of these are appropriate, some of these are not. Social media, Facebook, hindi naman nag-Twitter ang mga ibang estudyante natin or Instagram. But you can use YouTube. But make sure when you use YouTube videos, you have to watch it first, and there should be a worksheets that accompany that will guide the students on what to do before viewing, while viewing, and after viewing the movie clip, for example. Virtual communication tools like FB Messenger, you can meet them there, Skype, Viber, Zoom, Google Classroom, lahat natin yan. Pero usually ang Zoom ay ginagamit siya na conferencing tool for a big group. Sayang naman kasi kung mag-Google Meet ka, dalawa lang kayo. Okay, o 3 lang kayo, 5 lang kayo. Zoom, Google Meet, Skype, FB Live, these are what we call conferencing tool. Okay, blogs and websites, okay, WordPress, pwede nyo gamitin kung kaya na ng mga estudyante. Okay, but please, if they don't, lalo na, we are in a public school, some of our students are living in difficult or poor areas. Okay, we have to consider that. We have to be more considerate. As much as possible, mga kapatid, huwag tayong gumawa ng activity na gitan ng iba. Okay, yung parang tipong, ay, buti na lang siya may computer, nakakausap niya si teacher. Ay, buti na lang siya may phone, may kakausap si teacher. Kasi, lalo na malalaman, masasaktan yun. Bata yun eh. Sa atin, mararationalize natin yan na pagdating ng panahon, makakabili din ako, makakano din ako niya. Pero pag bata, hindi nila maintindihan. Okay, hindi nila maintindihan yung ganon na sa buhay. Okay, yung LMS, okay, if the DepEd user has an LMS for you, okay, yeah, Moodle, Google Classroom, Canvas, you can do that. O Canvas, syempre, mahal. Okay, yung Moodle, medyo okay naman. Okay, podcast, you can do that. You can video your own or podcast, video your, or record your voice para naririnig nila o podcast, i-video mo yung lesson, yung lecture mo para anytime, pwede nilang balikan, pwede yun. Or you can do also learning objects. Pero yung learning objects kasi, okay, it requires computer and program. Okay, I don't know if we can do it now. Pero siguro in the future, we can do it. Pwede naman. Pero kailangan kasi natin dito, may technological support kasi ang mga teachers, hindi naman tech lahat tayo. Ako nga, hindi din. So, we need an instructional support for that. Okay? Or e-books. Kung may mga e-books kayo ng mga free na nakikita, as much as possible, share that also to your colleagues and you can share that to your students. And e-handouts. Ito yung mga e-handouts na to. Okay, options ito. Pwede nilang tingnan so that it will also be a supplement to their lessons. Okay. According to Boric, there are 5 behaviors contributing to the effective teaching which should be revisited when teaching online. Una, you have to consider lesson clarity. The lesson should be clear, purposeful, and concrete. Instructional variety. So there should be a lot of activities, differentiated activities in a module. But again, they are to be organized from concrete to abstract, from simple to complex. Task orientation is important. When we say task for orientation, the instructions are clear, okay, the activities are purposeful. Student engagement. It is important the students will not just do the module, answer it on their own, but it can also engage their parents, it can also engage their classmates, they can also call or text or meet with their classmates. Opportunities for success. The module is not there to punish the students, but the module is there to help the students learn. Okay. So generally, when you do online, okay, resources, make sure that the contents are of moderate difficulty. Ayan, hindi pahirap. And in an appropriate scale, depending on the grade level of the students. Pag preschool, alam nyo naman yan, kindergarten, very small yung kanilang attention span. Okay, pag grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3, ganun din kasi naglalaro. Imagine mo yung bata, nag-module ka, pero yung kapatid mo naglalaro. Ibang feeling nun. Okay, so make it concrete, purposeful, moderate, and appropriate. Okay, to avoid cognitive overload. Okay? So, importante yon. So, yung number of pages, sana nga, maximum of 3 pages or maximum, mahaba na yung 3 pages, maximum of 2 pages for each lesson module. Okay. Structure of the contents is simple and clear. Okay? Hindi yung instruction pa lang, nalito ka na, hindi mo alam ang gagawin. Again, when you rewrite your material, prepare the material, look at the material as if you are a grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, or kindergarten learner so that you will see. Especially this is math and this is language. It's not easy for the students to just, ask you kasi hindi ka naman nila kaya matawagan o makikita araw-araw katulad nasa classroom, that they can just ask you the question. In fact, kahit sa classroom nga, hindi nga nagtatanong ang bata eh. Kapag halimbawa hindi niya naintindihan yung formula, hindi niya tinatanong. Okay, maninervyos na lang yan o gagawa na lang ng paraan para sumili sa iba or what unless they are really good in language or in mathematics. So all the more kapag sila na. So make the instruction clear, make present the examples clear so that, okay, anybody na pwede pagtanungan ng bata can also understand your instruction, can also somehow help explain to the students what you really want them to do. Okay, content is well designed to avoid visual strain. Yes, napakadaming drawing. Okay, kung minsan napakadaming, tingin mo pa lang words na lahat-lahat yan, punong-puno na ng instruction, nakaka-stress na, number na, puro na. Be creative when you develop your module, whether this is online or offline. Okay, Strauss and Frost identified key factors that should influence media selection. When you say media selection, the use of technology. Institutional resource constraints. Meron ba sa ating eskwelahan ito? Sinusuportahan ba ng eskwelahan na ito? Kaya ba ito? Meron ba itong technological support? O wala? Course content appropriateness. Kailangan ba talaga mag-video sa course ko na to? Kailangan ba talaga mag-online sa course na to? O ano yung mga media na kailangan ko? Okay, ano yung mga tools na kailangan ko na appropriate sa lesson ko? Kailangan ko pa talaga ng mga manonood sila ng YouTube or pwede naman ng hindi. Okay, so think of those questions. Learner characteristics. Ano may mga learners ko? Visual? Okay, look at the learning needs and learning styles. Mas ano ba sila? Mas gusto ba nila kung may interaction? Lalo na mga bata, ano mga sa inyo? So kung gano'n, anong media ang pwede kong gamitin? Anong mga pwede nilang magamit para mapanood? Okay. Teacher attitudes and skill levels. Okay, ang pagtuturo po ay wala po sa edad. Ang technology din po ay wala sa edad. Sabi nila, matanda na yung teacher, ay nako, ano na yan sa technology. Hindi po yata totoo yun. Okay, depende po yun sa attitude. Kasi ako nga, hindi ako marunong. Pero yung senior faculty ko na mas matanda sa akin, at magaling siya sa technology. So wala talaga. Okay, sometimes it's our attitude. Okay, that counts. Kung gusto natin matuto sa bagong technology or what. But now, because we are a pandemic and soon we will be moving to a flexible learning mode because of the fourth IR demands, okay, we don't have any option but to learn technology and live with technology. Okay? So, kailangan tingnan natin ito. Nagsasacrifice yung ating mga bata, nagsasacrifice din tayo. Course learning objectives, importante yan. Kasi we are not there to entertain the students, but we are there to master the competencies. Learning relationships is important also. Learning location, okay. Baka gusto nyo mag-synchronous meeting, mag-Zoom meet, pero wala namang computer, wala namang or konti lang yung data, hindi talaga kaya ng bata. So learning location is important to consider. The time. Okay. Yung synchronous versus asynchronous, especially for young children. Dati kasi for synchronous session, gigisingin yan ng bata, yung residential, para pupunta sa school. Pero ngayon, hindi. Nasa bahay sila eh. Okay, so consider that also. So kung 7 o'clock, kailangan din ba 7 o'clock? During the start of the classes, ayoko yung nakaupo yung bata naka-uniform. Tapos na pinapanood yung anong ginagawa ng teacher. Sa akin, sana hindi nang ganon. Okay, turuan nyo na, hindi naman yung nakahubado, hindi naman pero hindi na kailangan mag-uniform. Let the students feel comfortable. Okay? Kasi that will also contribute to the development of their mental health. Okay, media richness level is important kasi we need to respond to the learning styles of our students. Okay, so when you look at the pyramid of learning, when you look at the lessons, kapag understanding and remembering ang learning outcome, it requires synchronous or online. Therefore, the assessment should be traditional. But when you want your students to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, kung yun yung mga outcomes natin, yung learning objectives natin, then that means sessions should be asynchronous or offline. Okay, and then the assessment will be authentic. Ganun lang nyo po tinitingnan in a nutshell. You may forget everything that I said in this lecture, but don't forget this pyramid. Ganun lang po hindi kadali. Ganun lang po ganun dito lang po kasimple pag-isipin lahat ng teorya. Okay? When you want your students to understand and remember, you do synchronous session or online, real time. So, the assessment, if you want to do some assessment or give them assessment activities, it should be traditional. But when you want them to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, okay, then it calls for asynchronous or offline purposive activities, and the assessments will be authentic. Okay, ito na ngayon. Establishing learning and learner and learning support system. Okay, so kanina sabi ko in remote learning, we are bringing actually the students, we are bringing the school to where the students are. Yung library system natin, okay, nasa school ang library, pero hindi sila pwedeng pumunta sa school, yung iba. So how can we bring that to our students? So be ready with OER. Kasama to sa learning package, yung tinatawag na online educational resources. Okay, at least meron silang puntahan. I think ang DepEd Central meron na binibigay sa atin. So pwede nilang tingnan. Optional naman ito kung hindi kaya or what. Okay, at least once in a blue moon, kung pwede nilang tingnan kung meron silang mga dapat materials na dapat tingnan. Okay, just make sure na kung ilagay nyo na halimbawa, naglagay kayo ng mga online resources, parents, na yun ay bibigay sa mga bata, useful ito sa kanila. O baka namang nice to read lang, nice to know lang. Kung mga ganun lang, hindi na. Dapat yan, related yun sa lesson actually ng mga bata. The guidance, okay, yung guidance counselor natin, yung guidance program natin, how can we bring that to the homes of the students? That is something also that is something that we need to think about. Okay, yung guidance counselor natin. Yung ibang school, isa lang yung guidance counselor from K to 6. Okay, so paano kaya yon? Ano? So kailangan titingnan natin. Meron din talagang mental health check tayo every month or at least or every week. Okay, health. Okay, yung itong health na to, kumustahan lang, pero actually kailangan din nating tingnan yung mga bata. Okay? Hindi lahat ng school ay may doktor. Pero sana yung sa district, di ba, may mga health professionals tayo, can also have time or schedule, okay, to check with our learners and with our parents, especially early grades yan. So yung kausap mo dyan, pag yung health at guidance sa pinag-uusapan, yung parents. Sana meron din tayong yung tinatawag na yung PTA natin. Hindi ko alam kung tawag nyo na yun ba yung brigada nyo or whatever when you work with the parents and talk with the parents. I think it could be helpful also if you have a regular activity with the parents, okay, to check with the health, mental health, emotional health, cognitive health of our students. Okay, linkages with LGU, yung local community, with the town, with the mayor, everything ginagawa naman ninyo yan. And I salute you for doing this and for connecting with the barangays. Okay, with the parents, it's important because they are the ones who are there with their learners. Sila yung nandun, nakikita nila kung anong ginagawa ng kanilang anak. If we can also collaborate with private agencies and organizations nearby, we are in Calabarzon, kung meron naman silang mga pwedeng i-provide sa mga bata na form of support sa kanilang learning, especially those who do not have internet support, baka pwede naman. Okay, kasi nakita nyo nung bago ang remote learning in-introduce ng DepEd, nagmahal ang laptop at ang maraming mga parents ang umutang ng laptop at bumili ng iPad, umutang ng iPad, umutang ng tablet only to find out wala naman palang paggagamitan. Okay, sa Ilocos maraming ganyan. Sana hindi nangyari dito sa atin sa Calambang. Ganon. We want to help our students learn. Okay, with or without technology, learning will continue. If we have the technology tools, then okay lang, mas better. Okay. Always remember that the focus of every instructional material is on the learner. Yan ang sinabi ko sa inyo kahapon. And on the learning process. Instructional technology is just a tool to achieve the goals of instruction. And the best technology, the best instructional material is you, the teacher. Okay. Okay, here, I'm now moving to the end of my lecture. Remember these 4 C's. Okay. As we implement our education system in a remote learning mode at a time of COVID-19 pandemic, we should show compassion to our students. Our materials should help them. Okay, our materials should be filled with love and understanding. It should not be a punishment or an ordeal for students to answer or work on the module. They should be always excited to see you during synchronous or online sessions. Okay, or excited and happy to meet with their classmates. We have the commitment to make a difference in the lives of the students, commitment to help them learn in spite and despite of this pandemic problems and challenges that we are facing. Okay, economic challenges that we are facing. Creativity, yes. Okay, we should squeeze all our creative juices to come up with instructional materials, new pedagogy that will help our students learn better. And of course, we need to collaborate with each other, collaborate with other schools, collaborate with parents, with LGU. Okay, in doing so, may the great God bless you and keep you. Thank you very much. Okay, if you have some questions, you can.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pauline, for a very comprehensive discussion on remote learning, turning competencies to lesson, developing the learning pathways, anchored from the theories of learning. So, nag-refresh po kami with these theories which shouldn't be forgotten in teaching even in times of pandemic. Ensemble teaching and learning technologies are also enumerated. The appropriate assessments and the learning support. Kumpletong-kumpleto po, sir. As I know, there are still some queries and hesitations from our participants. Kaya po sasamantalahin na namin, sir, ang pagkakataon na kasama namin kayo. So you may open for questions or use the chat box with queries. Mukhang busog na busog sir. Wala pang question.
questions or things that you would like to share?
Yung mga nasa YouTube po, pwede rin po silang mag-ito ng kanilang question. Nababasahin po ng technical working group. Ayan. Mukhang naubos na po ang question nila kahapon. Okay, so, ayan, tatawag po ulit tayo. Suggested by Ma'am Evelyn. So, may I have questions or sharing from one of the parts here? Ako, sorry na lang sa mga ko. Yun ang matatawag. Okay. May I have from Hornalan Elementary School, Ma'am April Albin. Ayan. So, recommended ko Ma'am Emily. Ma'am April from Hornalan LS. Ma'am April, nandun pa. Ma'am Amor, meron bang question from the YouTube? Mukhang tahimik sila ngayon, sir. Talagang busog na busog sila, sir, sa lecture niyo for today. Naubos na lahat ng question nila kahapon. Ma'am Amor, meron po bang query from the YouTube? Okay. So, our ELL and coordinators, you are expected to raise your questions or sharing. Ayan, kasi last day na po ng ating Sir Greg ngayon. Hindi natin siya makakasama tomorrow. So, samantalahin na po natin ang pagkakataon that is with us. Ayan. Limit sila talaga. Ano kaya, sir, kayo ang magtanong sa kanila? Recitation bigla.
Oo nga, no? Dapat siguro may quiz tayo dito ngayon, ano?
Okay. Sir, so meron po dito nag-pop up na question. Pwede daw po bang nagbigay kayo ng sample of reading activity in remote location?
Okay. Ito kasi content yan, ano, reading activity. Okay. Depende kasi kung anong sinabi ng curriculum kasi kayo prescriptive kasi ang curriculum dyan kung anong story na ibinigay ninyo na reading, ano. Pero importante nito for an online and offline learning, okay, if you apply the behaviorist perspective, before they read on something, meron akong tinatawag, I think I shared that yesterday, may 3 R's ako niyan. Read, reflect, respond. Okay, when you give them a story to read, before reading activity, ano, so give them a guide questions, give them guide activities to follow before they read. And then ask them to read, make the story short, make the story concrete, unless it's really the whole selection that they have to read. Okay, and then from there, yung second R is reflect. Ask questions for reflection. Start with the WH because they need to know the data and the facts. And then the third R is to reflect and then respond. Respond is when they respond to the lesson, valuing, connecting, ganon. Okay, yun yung it's somehow kung titingnan niyo yung 3 R's, it's somehow connected also with the four-pronged approach. Kaya lang kasi yung four-pronged iba yung kanyang procedure. Ano? So ako kasi it's because it's pandemic and we are doing things in a remote learning mode, kaya liniksihan ko siya. Kung reading lang, 3 lang. R's. Read, reflect, respond. Okay. Yung mga, yung mga vocabulary, nandun sa reflect. Okay. Yung respond is when you apply or use these vocabularies in sentences. Yung mga ganun na talaga. Make it short and concrete. Kaya 3 lang yung aking sinasuggest dyan sa inyo for reading. Okay. Read, reflect, respond. Kasi marami pa tayong pwedeng gawin kapag pwedeng mag-dramatization, but remember, we are in a period of pandemic. We are in remote learning mode. We cannot facilitate all of those things. So make it concrete and purposive. Again, it's that I propose the 3 R's. Read, reflect, respond. Reflect is when they look at the WH questions. They look at the facts about the story or the selection. Okay? They learn more about the new vocabularies, and then when they apply, when they connect, doon yung sa the last part, yung respond. It will just be a maximum of 2 pages module or kahit 1 page nga lang, pwede na. Ang pahaba lang doon yung story. Okay? Naka-mute ka, ma'am. Naka-mute po kayo.
Yan. Sorry po. Ako nag-lag. Nag-hang po ang akin. So, question, Ma'am Amor from YouTube.
Okay. So, sir, kindly elaborate po. Sabi niyo po, should be integrated to real life that to connect with other subjects. Sa pagtuturo po kasi, hinahanap ang subject integration. Salamat po, Buksan Select.
Okay. I would like to elaborate more on that. Okay, I understand that subject integration is important. I understand, as I mentioned to you yesterday, and as I told you a while ago, that mathematics and language are tool courses. That's why it's easy to integrate to other subjects. But again, we are in remote learning mode. Okay, the students are in their homes. Okay, kasi if we connect one, kasi ginagawa natin kasi na strategy like, halimbawa, sa mathematics, kapag i-connect natin siya sa science, when you ask them to do a science activity that will require connection or that they require the use of mathematical skill, we call that already integration. Gusto kong i-clarify, hindi yon integration. That is what we call correlation. Kasi strategy yon. So when I say subject integration, I'm referring to curriculum integration as a design of the curriculum. We cannot do that because the students are in their homes. Okay, nasa bahay sila. We cannot do that. We are not there to process. So it's easier to connect it with real life, everyday life experiences. At least they can validate it with their parents, with their kuya, their ate or lola, or somebody na nandun sa bahay nila, than to do subject integration. If you do subject integration, it requires, of course, more or less, knowledge of the person, of the subject matter. We are not there to process. You can probably do subject integration during your online session. Yung synchronous nyo, at least you can give a lecture. Pero sabi ko nga kasi, kung visual naman yung learner nyo, hindi lahat kasi nagpa-participate sa Zoom or what eh. Kasi kung minsan hindi nyo alam kung naglalaro sila o nakipagbiruan sila. Kung minsan nga yung Zoom etiquette, hindi rin talagang yung curiosity ng bata, nakakalimutan niya na, huy, online ito pero nasa klase ka. Okay, hindi kasi nila alam yun eh. Kasi ang hirap din mag-subject integration. Okay, yun. Kasi hindi mo talaga ma-process. Okay, it is nice. Yung mga ginagawa nyo kasi to integrate, you call that integration. Ang tawag kasi nila doon sa pedagogy or sa curriculum ay correlation. So okay lang, you do that. Yung mga re-require actually ng DepEd sa inyo, ang proper term doon is correlation. You relate that to different subjects, to different topics and lessons. Correlation yon. Pero pag sinabing integration kasi it's more purposive. You start with you dig deeper into the meaning of into the discipline. Okay? For example, pag sinabi mong i-integrate mo ang language with mathematics, it's not just simply putting math into literature or math into the structure of language. It's not. Okay, titingnan mo, may tinatawag tayong math communication. So doon papasok yung language. What mathematical concepts should we expect the students to communicate, and how will they do that? That is subject integration, because we start with the competency, we start with the nature of the discipline. Yung mga ginagawa natin na applying math, applying language, to learn social studies or to connect it with some social studies concepts, correlation po ang tawag doon. Hindi ko siya tinatawag na integration. Okay? Siyempre, ginagamit. Yung iba yun sa, the verb is integrate. So, okay lang na gamitin. Parang ganun. Pero the jargon kasi na ginagamit is correlation. Hindi siya integration. So, please take note of that. Kaya, okay lang. Kung you call that integration, okay, sige, tanggap. Pero ang tawag kasi doon, correlation. Kaya sinabi ko sa inyo kanina na hindi ginagamit ang integration. Kasi ang integration, you are there kasi you're the expert person on that particular topic. You need to process that. There should be a purposeful connection between your subject, language and mathematics, to the subject. So from the start, from the design phase of the lesson, nandun na yung integration. And it is done in a natural way. Okay, so ayun, example yon, yung halimbawa, yung mathematics communication. How are you going to use language to communicate, and what mathematical ideas you need the student to communicate, and how will they communicate that? And then another thing, for example, yung abstract reasoning. Okay, how can you use language to abstract reasoning? Mathematics yung abstract reasoning. Reasoning, standard yon. So, nakailagay na doon even before you develop the module. Kaya, halimbawa, kapag nagli-lesson ako ngayon, hindi na integration is done in a natural way na hindi napapansin ng bata. Okay, pero yung correlation kasi sinasabi mo eh. Like for example, di ba, may lesson kayo sa social studies when you talk about yung pagdating ni Magellan sa Pilipinas. Okay, kung i-calculate natin yung pagdaong ng barko, halimbawa, okay, gaano kalayo yung barko kaya sa tingin niyo ilang kilometro o ilang metro doon sa Pampang? Okay, that's correlation. Okay, that's correlation. Pero yung integration to real life kasi, napaka-authentic niya. Napaka-authentic niya that you can do it anytime. Kasi nandun yung bata sa real environment, home environment, community environment. And it's easier to reflect and connect. Ganito pala yun. Kaya pala ganyan ang bahay namin. Kaya pala gawa sa bato yung bahay namin. Kasi madalas pala ang bagyo dito sa amin. Parang gano'n. So pwede niya makarelate. Pwede niya maisip yung bata yun. And when you do your synchronous sessions, kahit orally na ganito, walang visual aids, it is easier to process. Yun yung ibig ko sabihin doon. Yung mga ginagawa nyo na requirement ng DepEd na sinasabi na subject integration, that is not supposed to be subject integration. The jargon is correlation. Okay? That's the jargon in curriculum studies. It's correlation. You correlate the subject to another subject. You do that. Tama yon. Pero yung integration, it should be more purposeful kasi. Before you design the material, before you actually teach, napag-usapan na yon. At hindi lang ikaw nag-uusap. You teach, you talk as a school and look at cross-curricular integration. Okay, yun yung tinuro ko sa curriculum map, yung cross-curricular integration. Paano titingnan yung kaniyang integration in a natural. Kasi titingnan mo yun yung spiraling ng curriculum eh. Halimbawa, nagturo ka sa mathematics, nagturo ka ng yung solving the area of a rectangle. Saan mo gagamitin yung solving the area of a rectangle? Saan siya connected sa math, sa science, sa PE, o sa music? So you examine the competencies even before you develop the material. So that when you write an activity for the module, okay, nakaprepare na ito na you are connecting it to another competency. Kaya sa Amerika, nakita nyo yung mga material na nakalagay doon, cross-curricular integration or points of integration pag sa Japan. Kasi napag-aralan na yun before that. Sa atin ngayon, hindi. Kasi naka-remote learning mode tayo. Yun ang ibig ko sabihin. Pero yung mga ginagawa nyo, correlation kasi ang tawag doon. You continue doing that kasi that will help a lot. Pero yung integration, hindi. If you do integration, subject integration, we have to plan for that. We have to plan for that. Kasi hindi pwedeng araw, per day lang yun. Hindi. The whole curriculum ng buong taon, pag-usapan nyo na saan yung cross-curricular integration nito at paano yung subject integration nito. Especially, although it's easier kasi ang subject nyo ay math and science, ay math and language. So, tool courses kayo. It's easier to find connection. Pero kasi, kailangan din yan, matutunan din ng mga content course like science, music, PE, values education, okay, social studies, na saan yung connection nila sa inyo, sa mga competencies ninyo. Kasi kung minsan yung mga content courses na yan, hindi nila tinitingnan yung tool subject na math and science. They look at their subject as if science, math. Pero science is full of mathematics. Social studies is full of mathematics and language. Kasi tool courses kayo, basic kayo eh. So dapat makita yon. Magandang session. At ang requirement noon, pag may subject integration, every month, or at least every month, ideally, there should be a curriculum meeting. Yung curriculum meeting na yon, we'll talk about how integration was done. Okay, how was it? Did the students learn? Anong difficulty nila? Did they recognize the prerequisites or not? Okay, in terms of activity, na-appreciate pa yung bata yung activity, nakita ba niya yung cross-curricular integration na yon or hindi? So yun kasi pag integration, that's nice to do. Whether it is flexible learning, remote learning, or what. Pero it will take time. Kaya sinasabi ko, hindi. Kasi nung ginawa natin yung module, hindi naman natin pinag-isipan yon. Ang pinag-isipan natin is correlation. We relate that to different subjects. We relate our topic to different topics from other subjects, but not really integration. Okay? Sige. Thank you.
Ayan, thank you po, sir.
Thank you.
So may question pa po ba?
May question pa po ba?
Ako muna magko-question. Ano, sir? Sir, I have known many children that they become fluent speakers in English by just watching YouTube. Highly recommended po ba yun?
Kasi okay, kung babalikan niyo yung model ko kahapon, di ba? Meron tayong dalawang environment, the school environment or the learning environment, the home environment, and the community environment. So tatlo pala yung levels na yon. Okay. So right now, most of the time, kasi nung residential, 6 hours they stay in school. Okay. Now, 20 hours they stay in their home. Okay. So anong environment nila? Their environment is okay, yung home environment nila, yung community environment nila na nagsasalita ng Tagalog. Okay, pero yung bata, excited siya sa technology. So habang naboboring, habang wala siyang ginagawa, nanonood, parang yung parang yung similar ma'am sa nangyayari sa theory na ang galing nilang natuto ng Japanese language at ang galing nila natuto ng Korean language. Kasi they watch in movies, yung mga expressions. Sometimes they knew, sometimes they don't. Sometimes nabibigla ka na lang, yung anak mo may alam siyang Korean language. Ikaw na nanonood ng Korean telenovela, umiiyak ka. Kasi emotional lang. Pero sa anak mo, hindi. Naintindihan niya yung language. Kasi for young children, it's easier to learn actually language at the first, in fact, kapag titingnan nyo, di ba, yung language acquisition theory natin, although sinasabi nila kaya grade 3 ang English kasi after 2 years of schooling, doon pa lang magiging ready. 2 to 3 years of schooling, magiging ready ng bata ng second language. Pero I think we have to debunk that theory now. Kasi with what we are experiencing, tama kayo ma'am, may mga bata, kindergarten, mayroon na hindi lang English eh. But we just have to be careful on what they watch. Okay. Yun nga lang, syempre, sa atin, pag mga teacher, alam natin na yung papanoorin nila ay related sa lesson nila. Pero tandaan nyo pag nag-open yan ng YouTube, lahat ng suggestion ng YouTube, lalabas. So magkakaroon ng curiosity yung bata. You have to remember that also. But I agree with you, yes, that will help a lot kasi exposure yun, ma'am. Yung technology is bringing a kind of learning that we cannot give to students. Kaya tingnan nyo kung minsan may mga bata ang gagaling mag-pronounce. Saan nila nakuha yung pronunciation na yan? Sa YouTube. Kasi napanood nila, or sa TV, napanood nila. Okay, o sa Netflix, kasi nanonood yung parents niya, so nanonood din siya. That's the kind of environment that they have. And if we recognize that the environment plays an important role in the development of the language of the students, so that means it's effective. Yes, it is effective. Effective po siya. However, again, we have to be more purposeful. Pag nanood sila, may guide tayo. Okay? Kung ano ang dapat expected sa bata. Yun lang yun. Kaya kailangan nang ma-debunk yung ating theory na after 2 years lang na schooling, saka tayo mag-introduce ng foreign language. Actually, hindi na eh. With the use of technology, hindi na. Even, kahit nga pre-kindergarten, alam na nila eh. Yung mga bata, experience ko when I studied in Japan, yung anak ng aking friend sa Isabela, dumating sila, yung isa kinder, yung isa grade 2, nung nandun sila. After a week, grabe yung nanay, takot na takot kasi may dumating na hapon sa bahay nila. Akala nila kung hindi niya maintindihan kasi wala yung asawa niya, yung classmate ko, nasa university. So, takot na takot kasi hindi niya alam. Yun pala ay form of support sa community na magbibigay ng tulong, ng mga schedule, gano'n. Pero yung anak, naintindihan niya, Mama, wag, papasukin mo sila. I-check lang nila yung bahay natin kung maganda yung wiring, kung okay tayo, kung meron tayong mga gamit na pwedeng ibigay. Kasi ganun ka-generous eh, ang hapon kapag scholar ka. Yung mga scholars dito, mga teacher trainee, alam nyo yan. Okay? So yun pala yon. So ibig sabihin yung bata, in 1 week or 2 weeks, naintindihan na niya. Nakakakuha na siya ng tingnan niyo yung mga bata, pag pumunta ng abroad, o pumunta ng Manila, pumunta ng probinsya, ang bilis silang matuto ng language. I think we need to debunk that. It's because of the environment. Kasi people hear it. They hear it from technology. They hear it from people. Kaya the environment, in a constructivist point of view, plays an important role in the development of language acquisition. So, pwede yun, ma'am, yung YouTube. You just have to set the rules to avoid kung anong baka makasang pupuntahan at panoorin ng bata. Okay?
And thank you po, sir. Ayan. Meron po na tayong questions sa chat box. Ayan, from Miriam Memes. Good morning po, sir. Nakita niyong pyramid po nila. Pwede po ba kami makagawa ng authentic assessment sa synchronous learning? At paano po kaya kami makakasigurado na authentic result ng assessment namin sa asynchronous learning?
Issue yan, parang exam. Paano mo alam kung yung bata nga talaga ang sumagot o hindi? Friends, ito yon. Ito yung sugal nating remote learning kasi bago tayo lahat dito. Nag-a-adjust din yung parents. Friends, we have to trust our students. I understand where you're coming from. O biglang, uy, hindi nakakabasa tong bata na to tapos perfect yung sa reading niya. Uy, mahina sa mga ito tapos pero perfect yung ginawa niya. So somebody could have helped that student. But sometimes this is the price of remote learning because we are not yet mature in this kind of learning. Even our learners are adjusting. Siguro itong part ng tinatawag nilang sugal natin. Okay? So, kasi kahit sa synchronous learning, okay, hindi mo rin mababa. Kung halimbawa paggawan, okay, write a paragraph. Okay, answer the following mathematical problems. Okay, nakikita ko kayo. Abay, hindi naman yan. Kasi sinasubmit niyo naman yan ipinapakita niyo sa bata. Baka mamaya sa gilid, sa harapan, hindi niyo nakikita sa video, may tagagawa. O kung na-off yung camera. Pero, nandun yung parent, binasa. Hindi naman ninyo makikita yon eh. That's actually a major issue. But this is what I want you to do. What I want you to feel and see. Okay. I want you to put trust to your students. Ngayon, kung yung parents ang gumagawa, trust them anyway. Malaking bagay yon. Kapag may conference ang mga bata at alam nyo kahit bata yan, nakukonsensya yan, hindi yan nagsisinungaling. Turuan mo siyang magsinungaling pero by nature, hindi nagsisinungaling ang bata. Okay, matuturuan mong sabihin mo sa teacher mo ikaw ang gumawa nito, panindigan mo. Pero alam mo, makikita mo talaga na nakukonsensya yung bata kapag kahit sabihin niya na, teacher, hindi po, ako po gumawa. Makikita mo talaga, lalo na sa kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, makikita mo talaga yung makukonsensya yung bata. You see, there's always something good in every person. We were not born evil after all. Okay, so please trust your student. I understand where you are coming from. Wala pong solusyon yung question ninyo, ma'am. Kasi hindi po natin talaga makikita. We can only assume. Okay, kaya nga po sinasabi ko sa inyo na purposive and concrete yung mga module nyo. Kasi kaya nakikialam ang parents kasi either mahirap yung module or sobrang dami ang ginagawa nila sa module. Pero kung konti lang, purposive, concrete, just like the Japan and Singapore method or Taiwan method, 2 pages lang. Hindi na nakikialam ang parents kasi kayang-kaya ng batang gawin. Okay. Yun po yung reality kasi. Kaya nakikialam ang parents kasi hindi alam ng bata. Mahirap masyado. Masyadong marami tayong pinapagawa sa module. Okay. Pero kung purposive, concrete lang yan, crispy lang, easy bite, easy na cognitive chunks lang yan, go. Yun po. So again, you look at your module. I hope with the ilang quarter na to, 4th quarter na, no? At I hope yung 4th quarter module. At we should learn now from after this kasi next year pa rin naman tayo, remote learning mode pa rin naman tayo. We should learn now from our experiences. Okay, so dapat yung module natin for next year hindi na mahahaba, hindi na masyadong mahirap. Okay? Look at the competency kasi yung competency hindi naman mahirap eh. Madali naman yung competency. Okay? So kayang-kaya naman ng mga bata yon. Para to avoid talaga na parents o may nakikialam doon sa natin. Kasi ma'am, hindi talaga natin mababantayan kahit ano pang sabihin natin. Mas madali po yan pag nasa classroom. Pero pag nasa bahay po, we do not know. Kahit isynchronous mo pa, halimbawa ngayon, nakikita ko kayo, o halimbawa, o yan, si Ma'am Marites lang nakikita ko dito, hindi ko alam kung natutulog yung iba, kung kumakain or whatever. Hindi ka alam. O, nakikita ko si Ma'am Marites, pero hindi ko nakikita kung may sinusulat pang module, may nag-check habang nakikinig. Kasi tayong mga adult, may multitask eh. Ganon din naman sa bata eh. May multitasking pa rin yan. Pwede lang maglaro, pwedeng Okay, di ba? Ganon lang yon. We can only assume and we can only trust that all of our students are listening. And Pero again, pag sa module, basta purposive, concrete, hindi siya masyadong mahirap. Pag sinabi ko hindi masyadong mahirap, hindi mo kino-compromise yung quality at hindi mo kino-compromise yung competency. Kaya lang kasi kung minsan, kaya siya nagiging mahirap kasi yung example mo, napakahirap. Again, learn from the behaviorist perspective. Learn from the constructivist and the cognitivist perspective. From simple to complex. They will learn more. Pero yung complex naman, simple to complex, instead na 2 lang, nako, 3 simple, 4 na complex, ganon, iba pa yung assessment sa dulo. Ay utang na loob, talaga namang call a friend, text a friend yan. Sa college nga, maganda nga eh. Kasi nagkakaroon ng bonding, nagkakaroon ng mga boyfriends, girlfriends. Kasi, yan, tulungan mo ako, tulungan kita. Kung mahal mo ako, sagutin mo yung module ko. But the children cannot do that, okay? They usually ask help from parents. Kaya nga, di ba, sa curriculum, ito, tinuturo ko sa kindergarten, yung mga kindergarten teachers when you develop your curriculum. Forget, yung mga themes na, I can do it, I am special. Ayoko yun. Kasi sa Asia, we. Di ba? We, our. Collective tayo. Okay, pag sinabi mo, I can do it because mama will help me. Daddy will help me. Okay, kaya it's always, I is plural in Asian kasi we are family-oriented. Kaya mahirap po yun, ma'am. Kaya yung module na lang po, huwag niyong pahirapan yung estudyante sa module para hindi makialam ang parents. That's all. Okay, so si Ma'am Jenny Lynn, meron siyang inano dito. What will be the role of teacher in the construction of knowledge? So you will just be the instructional coach. You process the information. Kaya nga may synchronous eh. Katulad ngayon, yung mga hindi nyo naintindihan o yung may gusto nyo pang i-clarify, I can answer. So this is actually constructivism. Okay, this is how constructivism works also for young children. When you do your visitation face-to-face, doon nyo tatanungin, di ba? Also, sure, hindi ko naintindihan to, hindi nagawa ito. Okay, so bakit di mo nagawa? So you can process. Okay, or sa online, ganito, huwag na kayo mag-lecture sa online, sa synchronous. Huwag na. Ang gagawin nyo na lang, okay, talk to them, kumustahin, okay, may mga hindi naintindihan, and then we just have to remind them of the basic information. Okay? Mo na lang. So tandaan nyo, in order to solve this problem, these are the rules. Ito yung steps, okay, in answering this mathematical problem. Okay, to understand, for example, subject-verb agreement, kung may subject-verb agreement na kayo, okay, ito yon. I-remind nyo na lang sila. So the example given to you in page 3, remember? So, ganun na lang. So that's actually processing. So yung role mo doon is a processor. Yung role is an instructional coach, sharing your experience, your expertise to the students. Okay? Meron pa?
Yeah,
Sa
meron
Japan
pa po.
kasi alam niyo sa Japan kasi ang mga kindergarten teacher, yung kindergarten kanina nagtanong sa Japan alam niyo ang kindergarten teacher talagang hindi siya, well, iba kasi yung kultura eh. Again, sa atin kasi we teach, sa sila kasi they learn with the students. Kaya pagpasok ng teacher sa kindergarten, hindi siya nagtuturo ng music, pero may musical instrument doon. May mga symbols. So, yung do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lang yun. Naka-number naman lahat ng nota na Mickey Mouse, o yung forzato, or what. So, sinusundan rin ng bata. So, that's already music to them. When they talk about storytelling, may theater doon sa So, may bata na pupunta, kukuha ng story, magbabasa siya ng story kahit walang nakikinig o may nakikinig. Pero tinitingnan ng teacher yon. Okay, pero sa atin kasi kailangan tayong makinig lahat, listen to teacher. Amerikano tayo magturo eh. Okay, but in a constructivist role, I think that is something that we have to learn from our neighbors. Or at least sa atin siguro kailangan nating i-hybrid yung Filipino brand of kindergarten. Gandang tingnan niyo. Kasi sa atin masyadong, okay, come to teacher, listen to my story, or read the following, follow after me. Masyado tayong teacher-centered. Why don't you put that in a learner-centered scenario? Let them play, but while playing, ikaw din umiikot ka. Kaya ang teacher sa Japan, alam nyo, pagpasok sa classroom, ay, formang-forma yan. Ay, pagpumasok sa school. Pero pag nandun na sa classroom, magpapalit agad. Tayo, pagdating natin sa classroom, magpapaganda, magpapagwapo tayo, di ba? O sa kanila, hindi. Magsusuot sila ng shorts kapag summer o may jogging pants. Magti-t-shirt na sila. Kasi they work, they play with the students. Nandun na sila, nagkipaglaro, na sila. Yun ang kindergarten teacher. Pag uwi, ayun, saka siya ulit magdadamit. Okay, ganun lang yon. So what I'm trying to say here is that teaching kindergarten is a cultural activity. Okay? So to become a constructivist teacher, that means we dig deeper into the culture of the students. The culture of the students will tell us that they love to play. Then we should play with our students. Play as a form of learning. Diba? Ganun lang yun.
Ayan, thank you, sir. So another question from a kindergarten teacher. Kung halimbawa po ba ang lesson namin ay tungkol sa letrang C, number 10. Correlation din po ba kung magkakabilang siya ng 10 pare-parehong parawan na nagsisimula sa letter C at magpahanap siya mula sa loob ng kanilang tahanan ng 10 bagay na nagsisimula din po sa letter C. Synchronous learning po yung pinutukoy niya.
Okay. Actually, hindi nga correlation yan eh. It's really math. Kasi ano pala naman, nakalagay sa competency, counts 1 to 10 or count 20 or counts 1 to 100. Nandun yun eh. So kung ilang bagay na nandyan, ang ano mo lang doon is nagsisimula sa letter C. Pero actually, that's still not to identify C, but to count. Okay, ayan, ano ako. Okay, so hindi actually correlation. It's actually normal in mathematics to do that. And it's also normal for English to do that. Hindi siya correlation. Pero yon, halimbawa, ang ano mo is counts 1 to 10. Paano naging correlation yon? Okay, mas madali sa akin sa integration. Okay, when for example, when the teacher asks you, okay, to count 1 to 10 and to express the concept of 10, okay, I'm doing actually language. Pero hindi ko sinasabi na English yon or Filipino or MTB, MLA yon. Kasi nagpa-process yung bata. But at the back of my mind, the curriculum is already connecting mathematics and language. Kasi sa language, ano nakalagay doon? Science communication, mathematics communication, operations, connect yun. Kaya walang correlation at integration doon. That's really math. Nagkataon lang na C yung example mo. Kasi they will still count eh. Ang tinuturo mo pa rin count 1 to 10, hindi yung C. Okay. So ang correlation, kung gusto mong mag-ano ng correlation halimbawa ng kasi mas madali ang ginagamit nila for correlation yung mga content language. Okay, for example, ayan, sa ecosystem, kung ang lesson mo halimbawa ecosystem, okay, and you want to use mathematics, okay, as correlation, ito na ngayon ang gagawin mo. Okay, kung ang lesson mo ay count 1 to 10, okay, that the students, kasi nandun sa science yun eh, that they are going to identify living things in the ecosystem. Now, then you ask them to count 10 living things. Okay. So that's correlation. Kasi parehas nandun sa curriculum. And identification is science communications. It's okay.
Ayan, thank you, sir. So, nasagot na po yung question ng kindergarten teacher. Ma'am Luisa Rosales, is raising her hand. Meron po ba kayong tanong, Ma'am Luisa? Ma'am Malu, maka-raise po kayong hand.
Hello po, sir. Good morning po.
Morning.
Nabanggit niyo po kanina, sir, yung something about correlation and integration. Is it the same with harmonization, sir?
Yung harmonization, alignment po yun.
So, iba po yun sa
Iba. O tingnan mo talaga, alam mo yung ang utak ng tao, integrated yan. Pero tayo kasi mga educator, tayo mga tao kinakompartmenta, kayong daming terms. Pero actually, yung harmonization is that alignment po yun. So, hindi mo siya correlation. May tanong si Ma'am Josephine. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Pero importante po yung alignment ha. Kasi yan, kung minsan, hindi ginagawa ng teacher yan. Kaya maganda pag gumawa kayo ng curriculum mapping niyo, mag-curriculum map kayo. Kung may curriculum map session, sana tayo mag-align. Ang alignment po yun, tinatawag nilang perfect fit ng curriculum. Alignment between competencies and all the elements of the curriculum para ma-ensure na tama yung ginagawa ng teacher. Nakakonect siya talaga sa competency at purposive siya talaga. Yun po yung harmonization, ma'am. Okay. Si Ma'am Josephine Makinay, ang sabi niya, good morning po, sir. One time with permission po naman ng parent, nag-home visit ako. Naka-encounter po ng bata na kinder na nagaling po mag-add ng subject, mag-add and subtract. Pero di po siya marunong mag-count hanggang 1 to 20. Nalilito pa din po identify ng numbers. Bakit po kaya noon? Ay naku, genius siya yung bata. Sabi niyo marunong mag-add and subtract pero wala siyang concept ng ganito lang po yan. I do not know ha kasi kailangan assessment yan eh. But I can only assume that these things could have happened. Okay. Kasi tayo pong mga teacher, mahilig po tayo, alam natin yung formal mathematics. Okay. Kaya sabi natin na halimbawa, si Ma'am Vienna, hindi niya alam ang math. Pero actually alam niya. Hindi lang niya alam na yung 1 to 10, etc., etc. Pero may concept siya ng number. May concept siya ng addition. Kasi it's part of our everyday life. Okay? Mathematics is a tool. So possible na yung bata using concrete experiences, manipulatives, alam nga na ito, 5 ito, 3 ito. Pero pag nilagyan mo na kasi ng formal English yan, into mathematical structure or mathematical structure like 3 plus 4 or 5 plus 6, nawawalan na siya ng hindi na niya alam. Actually, alam niya. Kaya hindi lang niya alam kasi kinder pa siya, yung formal mathematics. Inaano pa lang niya, initingnan pa lang niya. Pero possible, kung alam na niya, kung at that early age, alam na niya, magaling siya talaga, hindi ko alam kung gaano siya magaling, pero galing-galing. Sabi mo, hindi talagang magaling. Ibig sabihin, baka tingnan natin, I can only assume na may mathematically gifted yung bata. Baka pwedeng tingnan muna. Pero of course, it's too early to assume. Tingnan natin kung talagang mathematically gifted yung bata. Pero yun po, possible yun, ma'am. Possible yun. Possible. Okay. Na magaling talaga yung bata, pero bago pa lang sa kanya ang mathematical operations. So, sinasabi natin na mahina. Kasi nag-a-adjust pa lang. Okay, trina-transfer pa lang niya yung kaalaman niya, yung number concept niya into or mathematical operation ideas na, or skills niya into formal mathematics the way they structured that in school. So possible yan, ma'am. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na mahina siya sa math. Magaling po yan. Kaya lang nag-a-adjust pa lang siya. You see? Pero kung gamitin mo yung schema niya, kasi alam niya kasi hindi siya pwedeng mag-add, mag-subtract, na hindi niya alam yung number concept. Pero kung gamitin mo yung schema niya, to scaffold learning, I'm sure matututo yan. Okay? Mag-graphs niya agad yung formal mathematics na ipinturo niyo sa akin. Okay po. Parang science lang din yan. Hindi naman natin alam na ginagawa natin, naghahalaman tayo, tinitingnan natin yung need ng plants. Hindi naman natin alam na science pala yun. Pag nagluto tayo ng pinakbet, adobo or what, that's chemistry. Hindi naman natin sinasabi chemistry yun. Diba? Yung reaction ng body natin to chemicals, di naman natin sinasabi na, may chemical reaction. Oh, wow. Tapos sabi pa nila, ang arte mo. Pero actually, well, that's it. Talaga naman, totoo. We live with these disciplines. Science is everywhere. Math is everywhere. Music is everywhere. Diba?
Thank you po, sir. So, another question po from YouTube. So, sir, ask ko lang po kung pwede bang bigyan ng advanced reading activity ang grade 1 pupils ng first quarter pa lang. Kahit nagsisimula po ng third quarter ang English subject nila. Thanks po.
Okay. Kapag po may potentially gifted yung bata, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Pwede. Kasi pag binibigyan, pero basta may lumalabas na mathematically or may potentially gifted siya sa language, okay lang, you can give advanced reading. Kasi it's your own way to test din kung talagang may potential yung bata na gifted siya talaga sa language or not. Doon yung makikita. Okay? Pero syempre, kasi may mga tayo, di ba, sa giftedness, may grade telescoping, may subject acceleration, may topic, may mga ganon tayong mga strategies. Okay, you can do that if the child is really gifted in that particular subject. Ganon din naman sa math Pag potentially gifted yung bata sa math, yes, it's okay. It's okay to introduce advanced concepts. Pero huwag nyo maibuhos lahat. Kasi ang gifted, mental process yan Kapag gifted ka talaga, ibuhos mo lahat yan, ikaw din ang mauubusan. Pero ang tingnan nyo, pag gifted o potentially gifted ng bata, yung need to belong, yung self-confidence, yung social-emotional needs niya is actually greater than the cognitive challenge that they demand. So put a balance para at least mabuhay pa rin siya ng normal at manurture natin yung gift niya. Natutuwa ako dyan kasi one of my advocacy actually is to develop curriculum for the gifted. Ako yung consultant ng curriculum for the gifted ng DepEd Central. Hopefully lalabas na soon. Pero tiningnan namin yan sa kindergarten kasi ang nakikita ko kasi di ba mayroon tayong kindergarten program yung for the gifted, yung na ba yung tawag niyo noon dati doon, yung early, tawag niyo yung para sa mga gifted sa mga bata sa kindergarten hanggang grade 1? Nakalimutan ko na. Yung programa niyo sa DepEd, pero wala na rin yata, tinanggal na. Okay, ayoko kasi gusto ko kasi pag kindergarten to grade 3, basta siya doon, wag lang genius talaga yung bata kasi may rami naman talagang bata na talagang genius naman, pinanganak na genius. Pero pag gifted, I want to treat the students from kindergarten to grade 3 as potentially gifted. Okay, lahat potentially gifted, lahat tayo. Kasi kahit naman yung mga sinasabi natin na mahina sa language, mahina na sa math, ay maaring magaling sa social sciences, may leadership skills or what. Potentially gifted. And at the end of grade 3, doon yung assessment, makikita natin kung talagang gifted ng bata. So yung tanong doon, ma'am, yes, it's okay. Para din sa math, pwede kang mag-advance lesson. Okay? Pwede ka naman mag-telescoping para at least ma-advance sa mga bata, mga topics. Pero huwag naman bigyan ng maraming advance o palagi. Kasi Kung gifted talaga yung bata, importante din yung kanyang socio-emotional needs. Kailangan din niya kung minsan ma-feel na siya ay normal na individual na bata. Kaya maraming mga gifted na nasisiraan eh. Hindi yan nasisiraan ng utak nasisiraan ng gana na mag-aral. Kasi naubos na niya, alam na niya lahat. Inubos niyo eh. Tuloy, yung socio-emotional need niya, hindi nare-respond. So, kailangan din niya mabuhay ng normal. They also need to enjoy their childhood. So, wag naman masyadong palagi advance. Kailangan din niyang matuto, makita rin, ma-experience din yung mga na-experience ng kaniyang mga classmate. That's my theory. Okay? Kasi holistic development dapat ang ibibigay din natin sa kanila. Okay. Their mental age may be advanced in a particular subject, but remember their biological age is not. Okay, so kailangan pa rin nilang ma-feel na sila ay grade 1, sila ay grade 2, sila ay kinder, sila ay grade 3. Okay?
Sir, another question po. Pwede po ba na sa kinder, focus na lang sa letter sounds at numbers para may focus sa learning ng bata? Kasi ngayon masyadong maraming nagtutulungan, pati ang mga bata, hindi na alam ang alanahin.
Well, ito po yung siguro setting your priorities. Kaya nga, di ba, sabi ko sa inyo, sa kindergarten, linisan ninyo, that's my term, linisan nyo yung milk. Okay. If that is what is best for your students and that will help them learn, okay, when they go to grade 1, why not? Kung yun talaga ang need at yun talaga ang sitwasyon ng ating mga bata, okay lang. Sa akin okay lang. And when you do that, of course, you have to rationalize that with your principal and with, of course, with the officials. Para at least alam naman nila na we are doing it, hindi dahil sa tamad tayo sa ibang lesson, pero yun talaga yung need at yun yung gusto nating i-strengthen para sa mga bata. Okay lang naman yun. We can have a program like that. Basta importante dito, you have to inform your school officials, your colleagues. Kasi pag sitsismisan yan, halimbawa, bakit man si Ma'am Biena, ito na lang yung lesson niya, bakit yung ibang schools, nakalayo na, etc., etc. At least your principal and your colleagues should also be able to help you explain na ito kasi yung aming core. In other countries, they call that core curriculum. Okay, possible na maraming standards, but this is the core standard, which means ito yung essential. Ito lang yung essential, ito yung focus. Especially that now we are in a remote learning mode. Maraming mga nasa competency sa milk ng kindergarten na hindi magagawa talaga sa loob ng bahay, na walang mag-guide. Okay, so again, tingnan niyo yung context again. Remember that home figure na pinakita ko sa inyo. We are doing it in a home learning environment. So, make it more realistic yung lesson. Kung yun talaga ang dapat nakita nyo na matutunan at yun ang mahina ang bata, fine. Then you can now correlate para hindi lang naman letter and sound, lang yan, or counting or number concepts yung tinuturo nyo. Now you can start correlating. Okay? Baka pwede naman first quarter yan. Second quarter, ayan, pwede na tayong mag-move. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Ma'am Marilyn Recano is raising her hand. Ma'am, you can unmute yourself.
Good day po sa inyong lahat. Sir Greg, magtatanong lang po familiar po ba kayo doon sa Vedic mathematics na nag-originate sa India decades of years ago?
No. I'm not familiar with that. Okay. But you can explain it to me and see what we can do.
Yung po yung tatanong ko lang po kasi sana kung yung nasasabing doon. Kasi yung po yung system of mathematics na contrast significantly with our conventional mathematics.
Okay. So, kung pwedeng i-adapt, for example, sa Pilipinas, is that what you want me to say?
I think ang iba po mga eskwelahan, in-adapt na po yun kasi it's a way na madaling makakapag-compete yung mga bata natin. Marami po mga advantages.
Okay, Kasi kung modality naman siya, ma'am, kung method lang po siya, for as long as we don't sacrifice the competency and the integrity of mathematics as a discipline, why not? Parang common, di ba? Wala namang hindi naman nakalagay sa curriculum na gumamit tayo ng common. Pero kung yung common method can help, kung yung Singapore math can help, understand the competency, why not? So it's the same thing. Kasi ang Indian, ma'am, kung titingnan natin yung history of mathematics and science, they introduce a lot of methods. In fact, one of the greatest mathematicians sa India during that, I forgot his name, pero mayroon siyang movie, di ba? Hindi nga pinapaniwalaan ng mga English, ang mga Britons at that time, kasi nga mahina, tingin niya colony, ganyan. Marami tayo kasing mga notion dito sa Pilipinas kung minsan, na kapag Asian, kapag China, ayan, Sinovac. Well, no comment. Okay. Kapag ginawa ng natin, mas okay pag galing sa West, galing sa Europe. May bias tayo dito sa Pilipinas. I think it's Asian din. Okay. But I think we have to recognize the fact that China, India are also old civilizations. They were cradles of early mathematics and science too. Sa kanila din galing ang maraming method. If that is a good method and that will help our students learn, why not? Marami na tayong ginagawa, ma'am, sa Pilipinas. Alam niyo, pag gaganon-ganon ninyo, hindi naman yan Pilipino Pero ginagamit ninyo, nakakatulong din naman sa kanila, di ba? Marami kayong mga method. I mean, the world of pedagogy is like a mall of ideas.
So, sir, okay po,
pick
in our
from any
teaching,
curriculum.
ay isali namin yun sa paraan ng pagtuturo namin sa mga bata. Gamitin namin.
Yes, pwede. Again, pag nag-introduce kayo ng ganyan, the school head should know, okay, the principal should know. Okay. Yun lang yun. And if it's a good method, pwede nyo naman kasing pwede kayo naman kayong natawag dito, action research, share the result to your division, and why not? Baka pwede nyo i-adapt lahat, di ba?
Okay po. Thank you, sir.
Okay, dito sa sa questions dito sa chat box. Kay Ma'am Lailani. Tagalog ang word problem. Nagkaroon ng problema sa grade 4, laro na sa word problem. Kasi Tagalog tapos English na. Ganon. Actually, wala dapat problema Yan actually ang problema natin sa Pilipinas. Bakit nagkaroon ng problema? Walang problema dapat yan kasi it's the same mathematics. That the only difference is the language. Di ba? Tagalog ka ngayon, English ka na, nag-shift ka na. So, dapat hindi. Kasi ang naman doon, alam ng bata yung process, alam niya dapat ang So, doon, anong for doon? Mathematics, hindi yung mathematical processes or computation ang kulang doon. Ang mali talaga doon, ang kulang doon ay yung mathematical communication. Hindi na niya ma-express sa English. Hindi na siya So, ang kailangan i-strengthen dito, ito yung natural integration na between language and mathematics. You can only strengthen the mathematical communication if the students have, for example, a strong background on how to process it nila. Kasi kung minsan, nasa inyo din, paano nyo siya pre-process. Kasi ngayon, halimbawa, I'm talking in Tagalog, but my mind is thinking in either Tagalog, English, or Ilocano. Kasi Ilocano ako So, nag-iisip ako in Ilocano, my brain is translating that into Tagalog or in English. Parang ganon, So, ganon din. Nung itinuro nyo ba sa Filipino yung mathematical problem, okay, pre-process nyo ba? Or baka lang, nag-ano lang kayo, nag-solve lang kayo. Okay? O gumagawa lang kayo ng word problem pero hindi naman talaga napaprocess. So, hindi natuto yung utak na mag-process. Kaya nung mag-shift na siya into English, entirely new na. Okay, magpa-process na siya ngayon ng English at ipaprocess na rin niya yung math, English. Kasi parehas lang naman yan Pare-parehas lang naman ang mathematics at saka language, maliban kung ibang language. Pero halos pare-parehas lang naman pag math Okay, so kung nahirapan yon, either talagang baka hindi nyo napansin, talagang mahina talaga siya sa math, or hindi natin alam kasi I don't know the facts, Or talagang there is something wrong with how we teach mathematics in Filipino. Turuan natin kasi yung bata na mag-process, kahit Tagalog siya, pero pinaprocess ng utak niya para pag magkaroon na yun naman ang ng problem solving mathematical communication, mathematical processes, abstract reasoning, those are the standards. So pagdating ng grade 4 o grade 5 o grade 6 na English na o lumipat man siya sa China na Chinese na ang math, okay, alam niya yung concept, alam niya yung process. Ito kasi ang nakikita ko, hindi talaga alam ng bata. Kasi nung nag-shift na, ano hindi niya alam? Para alam niyo yung anong classic story ng isang bata na sabi nila na ang galing bumasa, binigyan nila ng libro, kaya niyang ibasa. Pero nung tinanggal yung libro at binigyan ng ibang libro, hindi na niya alam magbasa. Yun pala after. So na-memorize nung bata kasi genius yung bata eh. Minemorize niya na photographic memory niya, lahat ng story. So alam niya. Kaya pala pag pinakita mo yung libro, uy, ang galing niya. Pero actually, pinaparot lang niya yung sinasabi ng teacher. So maaring ganon, ano? Ina-assume natin na alam. Pero actually, hindi alam ng bata. Kaya nung nag-shift na into a different language, hindi na alam ng bata. Kasi unusual yun, ma'am, pag nag-shift. Maaring nahirapan ako mag-Ingles, tama yon. Pero alam ko pa rin yung mathematical problem dapat. Alam ko pa rin how to solve. Okay? Kasi mas madali nilang solusyon yon. Pag hindi ko ma-express, hindi ko masabi na halimbawa na can read or can create a mathematical problem o word problem in English, naintindihan yon kasi hindi naman kung talagang mahina sa English yung bata, maintindihan ko. Okay, so kailangan lang i-reinforce yung language competency ng bata. Pero kung yun na ang problema na hindi lang yung language pero pati yung process, there's something wrong. Okay, kay Ma'am Julian Lopez, may nakalagay dito. Concern namin sa kinder na meron pong bata nahihirapan mag-recognize yung letters and their sounds. Pwede po kayo mag-suggest ng strategies ng pag ganito po na mahihirapan, ma'am, tingnan ninyo, baka mamaya mahirap mag-assume ha, baka mamaya sabihin nyo, sped yung bata. Possible, di natin alam, baka mayroon siyang ano ba tawag doon? Yung nahihirapan mag-recognize ng mga baka mag-dyslexic or I do not know. Okay? Hindi natin alam. Okay? Kasi ma'am, yung strategy, marami kayong may strategy, dahil remote learning, tayo ngayon, limited tayo. During your visitation, your home visit, pwede namang mag-II kayo, individualized instruction. Try out. Baka pwede naman doon, baka wala lang nagpa-follow up kasi sa bahay nila. Okay? Baka kailangan lang talaga. Baka maaring slow siya sa language or what. Tingnan natin, ma'am. Unless talaga may, learner with special need yung bata. Pero pag nakikita ko dito, mahirapan mag-recognize yung letter and their sounds, lalo na yung mga wala pong gadgets. Kasi baka, ma'am, magaling din siguro yung bata, kaya lang, ma'am, wala lang practice, walang nagpa-follow up. Mas okay sana kung nasa school. O lalo na, sabi nyo, yung gadget. Don't rely on the internet. Kasi kung wala talaga, anong help niya? Yun talaga sa module. Sino yung in-expect mo? Kung yung parent niya ang babasa, tutulong sa kanya noon. Hindi, ma'am. Hindi naman kindergarten teacher yon, or hindi naman English teacher yon, o hindi rin depende sa parents mo, o baka walang time, o hindi rin nila alam. Okay, how to pronounce it well. Okay? So, kailangan talaga, ma'am, ang best strategy is to reach out to the learner, give him or her at least 1 or 2 hour session a week hanggat matutunan niya talaga. That's the best strategy. Don't rely on technology. Kasi kung wala siya talagang gamit, kahit ano mga strategy ang gamitin mo, kung walang gamit, talagang wala. Hindi rin effective sa kanya.
Sir, ito po siguro ay pumapagin sa question. Ano po kaya ang pwedeng gawin ng bata na napapantig o nakakabasa na pero di master ang letter sounds?
Tingnan nyo, nakakabasa pero hindi master ang letter sounds. Unusual po yun. Baka talagang hindi siya. Kasi how can you read without mastering the letter sounds? Okay, so unless you have the same problem doon sa example na binigay ko kanina na na-memorize actually ng bata. Ni-memorize niya. Pag sinabi mong halimbawa, yan, Greg, chair. Pag Greg, chair. Pag nakita ko yan, symbol yan eh. Words are symbols. O pag nakita ko yan, automatic na, pag nakita ko yung GREG na yan, I may not know what GREG is all about. Hindi ko ma-pronounce. Para alam ko ng Greg. Alam ko na sabihin na chair, table. Nami-memorize ko yon. So the moment na flinash mo yung yung words, nakikita ko. Alam niya. Ibig sabihin, alam niya yung hindi siya talaga marunong bumasa. That's the point. Alam lang niya iparot kasi nasa strategy niyo. Change your strategy. Kung hindi niya marunong, kasi imposible yon na hindi siya marunong sa letter recognition, etc., sounds, pero alam niyang bumasa. That's impossible. Dapat alam niya. O kung nahihirapan siya, dapat nahihirapan din magbasa. Kasi ano yun parang imposible na makapagbasa siya na hindi niya alam ma-recognize yun. So, change your strategy. Change your strategy. Kung doon siya mahina, doon ka pupunta. Kasi yung mga reading exercises natin na ganyan, kung minsan, ayan, pinaparot lang ng bata Hanggang ngayon, alam nyo ba, nalala nyo pa ba yung story ni Henny Penny? I can still memorize that. Kasi everyday, yun ang pinapagawa ng teacher namin Yung Henny Penny is a red hen, Henny Penny is Ben's hen, Henny Penny has eggs, the eggs are in the nest. That's a grade 1, Okay, tapos Henny Penny has eggs, the eggs are in the nest. Come Ben, says Ted, come see Henny Penny. Alam ko pa yon. Yung mga Henny Penny story, that's a grade 1 story. Yung kay Mila at Pablito. Si Mila ay mabait na bata. Kanyang kapatid, si Pablito. Si Mila at Pablito at nakatira sa isang bahay na malinis. Sila ay naglilinis tuwing Sabado. Tuwing Sabado, si Mila at si Pablito ay tumutulong sa mga magulang. Ma-memorize ko pa. Kasi ganoon ang ginawa ng mga matatandang teacher natin noon. We are led to memorize. Kasi konti lang yung libro, konti lang yung Pero pag binigyan mo siguro kami ng ibang readings noon, baka ganun din ang expectation, na ay ang observation, na, ang galing nito na Henny Penny, pero pag binigyan mo siya ng iba, hindi na alam. I can still memorize our story in grade 2, Lulu and the Golden Ring. Yung mga kabatch ko dito. Public school ako And I'm proud to be a product of a public school. Okay. Nung Lulu and the Golden Ring, one night, Lulu went to his grandmother. His grandmother is living in the woods. Okay, di ba? And then, he met an old man. Yung Lulu and the Golden Ring. Alam ko, kaya kong tapusin yun. At ang kinakainisan ko na istorya, yung si Eva ay bumababa. That's grade 1. Si Eva ay bumababa. Pero si Eva, ang grabe, ang sexy sa libro. Yung Prodded series. Okay. Si Eva ay bumababa. Siya ay bumababa papuntang Sapa. Pero si Eva parang pupunta ng cabaret. Ang sexy niya na nakaganyan, na nakaano. Na-imagine ko lang ngayon. Ayan na si Eva. Siya ay bumababa. Sa page 3, bumaba na siya Sa page 5, bumababa pa rin. Di ba? Minsan, when you develop your materials, you must make sure that the continuity of, lalo na sa my story, siya ay bababa. Siya ay bumababa papuntang Sapa. Ayan na si Eva. Page 7, sayang. 7 page na yung, wala ka nang sinabi ko si Eva bumababa. That's grade 1, Prodded series. Si Eva. Yun pala, para matutunan lang namin yung BA, combination. Bumababa, Sapa. Di ba yung letter A, Hindi yun raw ng basta talaga. Nagme-memorize lang. Okay, so kay Ma'am Cecilia Palacol. Sabi niya, Sir, ask ko lang po kung pwede na kami sa grade 1 na magturo ng English sa first grading na pa lang, kahit third grading po sila may English subject. Ang hirap po kasi magpag-akyat sa grade 2. Nila sa grade 2. Hirap na sila sa English, especially in reading comprehension dahil late na introduce sa kanila ang English sa grade 1. I think this has to be discussed. Kasi contextual po ito, ma'am. Kasi yung iba naman pwede. Sa inyo, hindi. So I think this has to be discussed in relation to the data coming from your school. Kung bakit ba talaga nahihirapan yung bata mag-Ingles. Okay. At saka, remember, English is a foreign language to us. So, kahit nga ngayon, hindi lahat naman tayo marunong mag-Ingles talaga Pero, kung yung sinasabi comprehension, well, iba kasi yung comprehension with reading and reading with comprehension, iba-iba yun So pag sinabing hirap sila mag-Ingles sa grade 2, hirap sila kasi that's the first time that they are introduced to a formal lesson in English. Nahirapan talaga yan. Now, you want it to introduce, kaya ang importante doon, kung third grading yung prerequisite, dapat nga ma'am, hindi sila mahirapan Kasi ang lapit ng third grading sa grade 2. Okay? Kaysa yung i-introduce mo na siya sa first grading. At saka ma'am, depende kasi sa pagtuturo yan Kahit nga fourth grading lang, kapag in-introduce mo talaga siya ng tama. by the moment that the students will go to grade 1. Kasi scaffolding naman yun, ano? They will start from simple to complex. Na, nouns pa rin naman ang una eh. Simple greetings pa rin naman ang una. So hindi siya mahirapan dapat talaga sa grade 2 kapag naturo ng grade 3 ay third grading ng tama. Tingnan lang natin din po talaga ano ba ang mga prerequisite skills na dapat natutunan talaga pagpasok ng grade 2. Para yung grade 2 teacher, once they started teaching English, hindi siya mag-expect. Okay, halimbawa, yung comprehension level. Okay, yung comprehension level. Ano bang problema natin sa comprehension level ng mga bata? Doon sa mga selection na So, tingnan natin yon, isa-isahin natin, looking at the data. Okay. Baka hindi naman, baka mayroon naman, baka naman develop ang kanilang comprehension skills. Kaya lang, hindi tama yung kanyang pagkaturo. Or, maaaring talaga very poor ang kanyang communication skill, comprehension skills. Okay, yung mga bata, hirap na hirap mag-English sa grade 2. Remember, ang environment nila, hindi naman lahat sila nagsasalita ng English. Hindi naman lahat sila nanonood ng English movies or English mood. So, contextual yan. So, ang pwede nating tingnan, again, is to check on the competencies. Ano ba yung competency na kailangan sa English na kailangan sa grade 2 para hindi sila mahirapan na pagdating ng grade 2? Yun lang po.
Questions? Wala na po ata tanong sa YouTube. Ayan, so wala pa po bakla, pero busy na po kami sa learning square today, Sir Greg. So especially po kayo, ayan, from 8 o'clock to 11:30, tuloy-tuloy po ang ating discussion sa water break. Kaya talagang busog-busog po tayo. So beginning yesterday, so nandiyan po yung concepts ng numeracy, now applying learning. Nandyan po yung mga theories, andyan po yung materials, learning support, assessment, kumpleto po talaga, sir. So maraming salamat po sa inyo. Okay, so ito our open in gratitude. Sir, may I call on our ELLN Queen, Ma'am Annalyn Badillo. Hello everyone. Thank you for making this day great. Sir, Prof. Greg Kawin, thank you very much for your passion to the ELN family of SEOs Kalambasi Players. Ako yung hashtag namin ngayon. So, may I call in our PID Chief, Dr. De La Rosa S. Castro, to present the certificate of recognition.
Good morning, sir. Certificate of recognition is hereby awarded to Sir Greg for sharing his expertise, resulting to a meaningful engagement during the division-wide training and strengthening support for early language literacy in the Numeracy program during pandemic 2021. Conducted by the Department of Education, Columbus City, through the Curriculum Implementation Division on March 17, 2021. Given this 26 March 2021 webinar by Zoom, signed Office Division Superintendent Susan D.L. Origan. Congratulations, sir, and looking forward to you again. Kasi po, medyo nag-isip ko doon sa curriculum sumisip po na ginawang training sa regional office kasi na kami na si ID Chief na mag-attend doon. Last part na, meron na tayo sa part ng question and answer. Na-miss po namin yung talaga pinapakita nyo kung paano ba talaga nagkakaroon ng 30 minutes. Ang pinakamaganda. Kami po yung agad na naman really wanted to have additional inputs from you.
Sa 4A. Okay, yeah, sure. That's curriculum mapping. That will be an exciting topic.
Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Kalamba.
Sir Greg, thank you po. See you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm signing out now. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
I will send to Ma'am Annalyn yung aking slide so that it can be shared.
Salamat
with
po.
you. Okay, thank you. Okay, God bless.
God bless din po. Okay, to all participants that are in our Google Meet link, and for those and all those who are in YouTube, we have an ongoing workshop still this afternoon about the videos of ELLN best practices in your school. We are expecting that you would submit all those before the presentation tomorrow to your designated public schools district supervisors. And may I remind everyone to submit the output that we are expected yesterday. So doon sa mga hindi pa po nabibigyan ng link or access doon sa ating Google Meet, Google link, pasensya na po dahil gamit po natin yung ating account kaya hindi pa po tayo nakakapag-accept ng mga access. So right after this Google meeting, I will be giving access to those who are in the waiting list. Thank you very much. Good day and happy working.